Chapter 757. The main reason was that they did not want any more Sky Immortals to deal with Chen Hao, because they were also people who had benefited from Chen Hao. Without Chen Hao, they might have died at the hands of the alien races. When Du Jing had glorified Chen Hao as a human hero, he had won the support of so many people. Naturally, it was impossible for so many people to respond to his words. In fact, Chen Hao had indeed indirectly saved the lives of many human cultivators. Hiss. Half a month later, in the 9th hex, all the palaces in the forbidden areas and cities suddenly shone with dazzling and mysterious light. All the palaces resonated, and heaven and earth trembled. The core area is about to open. The 9 seals of immortality are finally going to be broken. When we step into the real core area, there will be more powerful inheritances, Dharma treasures, and ultimate techniques waiting for us. Ahaha. Cultivators from the 10 galaxies will gather. It will be a bloodbath. We have to be extra careful. At this moment, all the cultivators who had stepped into the 9 seals of immortality stood up in shock. They felt the terrifying and mysterious tremors of heaven and earth. Some were excited, and some were cautious. Humans, god of slaughter, and those Sky Immortals, humph. Your good days are over. The core of the Tao manifestation immortal fruit will be mine. Tikik. I will kill you one by one. A wisp of black smoke floated out of a narrow crack in the ground, and turned into a hideous phantom clan elite. This was a barren mountain only 10,000 miles away from the city, where Chen Hao was. His name was Lu Yuming, and he was one of the top 10 elites of the Phantom Clan. He had been killed by Chen Hao. Like the 4 wild dragons, he had been resurrected with a powerful protective amulet, given by his sect. Suddenly, the figure turned into a wisp of green smoke again, and silently fled into the distance. Let's go. Let's go. It's finally going to disappear. Ah! Bang. 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 Hu Meinyang, the 4 wild dragons, and many other experts of the Heaven Immortal realm, pushed their speed to the extreme at this moment. They were extremely excited, and each of them wished they could crush Chen Hao and the others to death. They rushed toward the city at their fastest speed. Dozens of people unleashed their berserk auras at the same time, soaring up into the sky. It was extremely terrifying. Chen Hao prepared to die. The 4 berserk dragons took the lead, releasing a strong killing intent. Hu Meinyang's seductive face revealed a rare coldness. Die. Chen Hao Panlong, and the others had to die. She, Hu Meinyang, was born with an innate Tao embryo. She had inherited the Mortal Heart Sutra from the founder of her sect. She was destined to become a woman who stood at the pinnacle of the human race. No one could humiliate her, and no one could take away the treasures she wanted. Her long dress fluttered in the wind, thousands of Daos cried out in unison, and her black hair fluttered. In the blink of an eye, she had pulled the 4 wild dragons behind her. Her graceful bearing was unparalleled, and her speed was astonishing to the extreme. Rumble. Roar. In the core palace, Pan Long, who was sitting cross-legged, suddenly stood up and roared into the sky. After nearly 2 months of all-out cultivation, his physical body released an even more terrifying aura. His mountain-like body was shrouded in light, and he looked like a beast god. His knotted muscles were filled with an endless wild aura. His roar was like thunder. It caused the core palace, which was already trembling, to shake violently. Big guy, you've become a lot stronger. Hiss. Chun Ling and Li Yang were in high spirits. They were as light as the wind and floated near Pan Long. Are you confident that you can break through to the Sky Immortal realm? Pan Long's thunderous voice rang out. Of course. Li Yang smiled like a weak scholar, but the space between his eyebrows was overflowing with light. They're all freaks. Du Jing appeared immediately. Poisonous insects danced around him, but he didn't show any excitement when he sensed the aura of the 3 people. Du Jing, it's not that I want to criticize you, but the art of poison is an unorthodox path after all. Don't. Brother Pan Long, this is my Tao. My Poison King Valley's ancestral master is the pinnacle of the human race. Who dares to offend him? I, Du Jing, will one day restore Poison King Valley to the era of our ancestral master. With one command, all the top sects will be as silent as cicadas in winter. Du Jing said, unconvinced. Senior brother? Still not coming out? It's about time. Pan Long looked in Chen Hao's direction and said, Haven't I already come out? Chen Hao's ethereal voice suddenly sounded in Pan Long's ears. Ah! Pan Long was shocked. Chen Ling, Li Yang, and Du Jing were equally shocked because Chen Hao's voice was right next to their ears. However, none of the four could sense Chen Hao's aura. Big brother, you are hiding? What do you think? Chen Hao's figure slowly appeared, and his peerlessly handsome face carried a wisp of a smile. How is this possible? Big brother, the 9 restrictions haven't disappeared. How can you hide from us? Could it be that Big brother's soul healing art has broken through to the 3rd realm? Li Yang said in shock. That's not it. The soul healing art is really complicated. I've used up all the soul refining pills in the past 2 months, and I've only just broken through to the 2nd realm. However, with this thing, I can more or less use the concealment effect of the 3rd realm. Chen Hao stretched out his hand and gazed at a simple and unadorned ring. Looks like the effect is not bad. Form-changing ring? Li Yang said in surprise. You recognize it? Chen Hao asked Li Yang. He had obtained this ring after stripping the Son of Destiny, Lan Feng, naked. Originally, Chen Hao had only roughly examined its function and put it away. He had no intention of using it at all. However, this time, under the threat of the enemy being stronger than him, he took it out again and refined it. Using its concealment ability, it should be helpful for him to blend into the world. Now Chen Hao was only using the concealment ability of the soul healing art to combine with it. He didn't expect the effect to be so good that even Li Yang and Chen Ling, who had powerful spiritual platforms, were fooled. Of course I know it. In the notes left behind by Master, it was recorded that even Master wanted to obtain the form-changing ring. It can't be, right? Your Master is an ultimate almighty, and this form-changing ring is only a sage-level concealment Dharma treasure. Chen Hao said in surprise. Big brother, you don't know, but this form-changing ring is indeed a sage-level artifact, and it's only a low-grade one. However, this is its lowest form. What do you mean? It's an extremely rare treasure that can evolve and grow on its own. Every time it changes owners, it will revert to its lowest form. As the new owner's realm increases, it will grow on its own. If Big Brother wholeheartedly refines it, it will be more compatible with you, and the speed of its growth will increase. There's no doubt that it will grow into a supreme-grade sage-level artifact. As long as Big Brother is strong enough, it won't be a problem for it to become a supreme treasure that surpasses the sage-level artifact. What realm will its final form reach? Even my master is very curious. It's actually that strong. Hearing Li Yang's words, Chen Hao was shocked. He was even more amazed by the awesomeness of the Son of Destiny, Lan Feng. Its value was probably no less than the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Core, right? Chapter 758. Big Brother, where did you get it? This is the same as the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit. It was given to me by a son of Providence. Chen Hao rubbed his chin and smiled wickedly. As he spoke, he muttered in his heart, It seems like I haven't met a son of Providence for a long time. Achoo! In the wilderness, Lan Feng, who was rushing towards a city with an excited expression, suddenly sneezed. Damn it! Who's talking about me? Lan Feng shuddered and stopped. He looked around to make sure that there were no other cultivators around. Then he calmed down. There won't be a problem this time, right? Damn it. Isn't it just a sneeze? I, Lan Feng, am being so suspicious. This time, Chen Hao is dead for sure. Although I can't do it myself, I have to watch him die at the hands of Hu Meinyang and the 4 berserk dragons. And that old man, damn it, he's most likely Chen Hao. Back then, I foolishly thanked him for giving me such a good fortune. That golden spear is clearly the weapon of the spirit race elite who hunted me down. You're dead for sure. Dead for sure. Shameless bastard. Lan Feng gnashed his teeth and growled. In the past 2 years, he had become a frightened bird. Coincidentally, he would always run into Chen Hao. Fortunately, he was careful and could avoid him every time. However, he also realized that Chen Hao, who had earned the title of Killing God, was using the same golden spear as the weapon of the Spectre tribe expert who had chased after him back then, only to be instantly killed by the shameless old man. Thinking back to the shameless old man who had stripped him naked and left him a message, Lan Feng was so enraged that he vomited blood. Now that he finally had the chance to see Chen Hao being killed, how could he miss it? In the city where Chen Hao was, cultivators were densely packed. Bathed in the dazzling light of the myriad palace, they stared at the city gate and into the distance and discussed excitedly. Today, there was bound to be an earth-shattering battle. Moreover, it was a showdown between the most talented disciples of the human race. There were even more cultivators at the core of the palace. It was to the point that they were practically standing on top of each other. Those with weaker cultivations did not even have the right to get close. Normally, it takes an hour for a palace in a city to release its aura until it disappears. This time should be no exception. Hu Meinyang, the 4 mad dragons, and the others should be arriving soon, right? Of course. Azura Chen Hao, Coiling Dragon, and the others should be coming out soon. I really want to know what realm the god of slaughter Chen Hao can break through to. It's unlikely that he'll advance to the heavenly immortal stage. If he didn't have the confidence to advance into the heavenly immortal realm, then how could he dare to wait here? Isn't that courting death? This is indeed strange. Perhaps he has something else to rely on? Stop guessing. Like I said, it's my personality. Ever since the killing god became famous, have you ever heard of him backing down? He slaughtered his way without fear. But this time, he's probably really underestimated the true might of the heavenly immortal realm. Rumble. Suddenly, the door of the core of the palace that was shaking opened with a rumble, interrupting everyone's discussion. Countless gazes immediately gathered on it. Bang, bang, bang. The heavy footsteps were accompanied by an ancient divine beast's aura, causing everyone to hold their breaths. Bitch for reptiles, you still don't dare to show up? The moment Coiling Dragon stepped out of the palace door, he raised his head to look at the sky. His wild voice rumbled like thunder, causing the thousands of palaces that were already shaking violently to buzz. Many cultivators covered their ears in fright. So powerful. Too powerful. Coiling Dragon's aura is much more terrifying than 2 months ago. His realm did not increase, but his strength increased by so much. I really don't know what kind of inheritance he obtained. It's too terrifying. Countless exclamations came from the crowd. He's Coiling Dragon. What do you think? It's indeed the inheritance of an extreme supreme beast god. How he actually gave it up. He's really powerful. Chun Ling and Li Yang should be the inheritors of an extreme supreme spiritual god. I really didn't expect that these 2 extreme supreme sacred masters would choose to leave their inheritances in the 9 seals of immortal sealing. In the crowd, a few figures who had concealed their auras whispered. Fuck you, Coiling Dragon. You still dare to be arrogant when you're about to die? We, the 4 berserk dragons, will kill you like killing dogs today. Rumble. 4 pillars of light shot into the sky, and the 4 berserk dragons leaped over from afar. Countless cultivators were forced to retreat, afraid that they would be shocked by the 4 berserk dragons. The aura of the 4 berserk dragons was no weaker than Coiling Dragons. I'll tear you into pieces. Hu Meinyang's ethereal but bone-chilling voice sounded. Her long dress fluttered, and Dao laws swirled around her as she walked over leisurely. If it were not for the boundless anger on her face that affected her image, countless cultivators would have bowed down to her. Behind her, there were close to 30 heavenly immortal experts. Each of them looked excited and condescending. However, Hu Meinyang did not deliberately release her aura, and it completely covered their auras. When she got close to the 4 berserk dragons, even the aura of the 4 berserk dragons automatically avoided her. The innate Taoist embryo is really powerful. It's said that the innate Taoist embryo usually suppresses the advancement of one's realm. The more solid it is, the stronger one's future combat strength will be. However, people with this kind of constitution can advance much faster than us if they want to. It's also because of this that people with this kind of constitution are heaven-defying existences who become stronger when they meet strong opponents. This time, it looks like Hu Meinyang has made up her mind. She didn't even experience the early stage of the heavenly immortal stage, and forcefully advanced to the peak early stage of the heavenly immortal stage. I'm afraid she'll directly step into the intermediate stage later. And it's very likely that she'll trigger a heavenly punishment of a small realm. Yes, when she stepped into the heavenly immortal stage last time, the heavenly punishment she triggered was extremely terrifying. Before Hu Meinyang entered the primitive mystic realm, the people she met were all the top heavenly immortal experts of the sacred temple. She must have accumulated a lot. The crowd discussed in shock. Even the 4 berserk dragons frowned slightly at this time, and looked at Hu Meinyang with a trace of surprise. Clearly, Hu Meinyang's strength had exceeded their expectations. This bitch's aura has increased by so much? Seeing this scene, Coiling Dragon's wild and ferocious eyes suddenly shrank. Compared to 2 months ago, Hu Meinyang had become much more powerful. This was completely beyond Coiling Dragon's expectations. Hiss! 2 waves appeared, and Chun Ling and Li Yang suddenly appeared beside Coiling Dragon. Oppressive immortal chi streaked across the sky, and their sparkling eyes directly locked onto Hu Meinyang in the distance. Their expressions also became serious. Chapter 759. Then Du Jing, who was surrounded by poisonous insects, also appeared. How arrogant! Chen Hao, you dare to stay here but don't dare to come out? Do you want to use the palace to protect us? Ha ha ha. The medium stage of the Earth celestial stage. I really want to know why you dare to wait here. Come out and die. Wan Long, the leader of the 4 mad dragons, still didn't see Chen Hao come out, so he said arrogantly, Rumble. As he spoke, the 4 of them suddenly performed the 4 elephants unite into one. Kill. Hu Meinyang waved her hand and ordered. At this moment, she could clearly feel that the violently shaking palace was about to disappear. Taking advantage of this moment was the best time for them to attack. Perhaps they would be able to kill them before they attracted the heavenly punishment. That would undoubtedly save the most effort. Bang. Just as Hu Meinyang uttered the word kill, a shrill and horrified scream suddenly came from behind her, accompanied by an incomparably fierce and murderous aura that overflowed to the heavens. What? Countless people widened their eyes in horror. An expert of the heaven immortal realm, who was following behind Hu Meinyang, did not have time to summon all his strength when the back of his head was pierced by a golden spear. He could clearly see the bloody spear sticking out from between his eyebrows. He only had time to let out a scream before everything went black and his soul was destroyed. His head exploded like a watermelon. Chi. As the spear radiance flashed, screams came one after another. No one had expected that Chen Hao could rush behind an expert at the heaven celestial stage without anyone noticing. With Chen Hao's speed, murderous aura, strength, spear technique, and sudden attack, these guys didn't have time to react. The first person was killed instantly. The other 3, who were next to the first person, didn't have time to react. They followed the first person to meet the King of Hell. No, they were destroyed in body and soul, and would never exist again. Despicable and shameless. Chi. Hu Meinyang turned around and stabbed with her sword. The void suddenly broke open and violently attacked Chen Hao. Kill his mother. Pan Long roared angrily. Chun Ling and Li Yang combined their swords and rushed toward Hu Meinyang like lightning. Du Jing and tens of thousands of insects flew across the sky. Heavenly Dragon Domain. The 4 berserk dragons roared angrily and attacked the coiling dragon. Rumble. The terrifying battle broke out once again. Spear radiance, sword radiance, palm shadows, and fist mountains directly broke the void. The surrounding cultivators retreated frantically. After the killing god Chen Hao had killed 4 people in a second, his head and tail were nowhere to be seen. As if he was hidden in the void, he avoided Hu Meinyang and transformed into the world's most powerful assassin. With a flash of his spear, his silhouette appeared and disappeared. This caused more than 20 cultivators to scatter in panic. Their figures moved as fast as lightning, fearing that they would be killed by Chen Hao's unpredictable attacks. They didn't dare to stay for even a moment. Their whole body's strength and perception were crazily stimulated. All of you, step back and avoid the brunt of the attack. In just a few more breaths of time, the 9 seals of immortal sealing will disappear. After suppressing Chen Hao and Li Yang, Hu Meinyang was able to handle the situation with ease. She looked at the cultivators who were scattered like birds and beasts, and reminded them coldly. Chi. Because of Chen Hao's sudden attack, the battle erupted too suddenly. Not only was Hu Mainyang and the others caught off guard, but they also didn't expect Chen Hao's concealment skills to be so terrifying. Even the few figures hiding in the crowd and concealing their auras didn't expect this. However, after sensing Hu Mainyang's terrifying aura, the three figures who originally wanted to deal a fatal blow to the opponent at the critical moment chose to attack decisively. Boom. Round after round of cold moons suddenly broke through the sky one after another, accompanied by a beautiful and graceful figure. She leaped over the crowd and slashed out with her sword. Hellion Wuxia had appeared. Boom. Caw. Caw. Like a scorching sun rising in the sky, the temperature of the world suddenly soared at a shocking speed. Amidst the raging flames, accompanied by the strange cries of phoenixes, Tantai Lian stepped on a 9-leaf immortal lotus formed by flames and cut through the sky. Buzz. Boom. Crystal radiance shone like a white jade crystal blooming. Amidst the brilliant sword radiance, Xia Yuyu stepped on the air. Ah! Chen Hao, who was in the midst of the attack, immediately cracked open his mouth. Amidst the flickering spear radiance, he looked at the three beautiful figures of the divine soldiers and heavenly generals and couldn't be any more shocked. No matter what, he didn't expect the three women to arrive at this time. Even more so, he didn't expect their auras to be so terrifying. In particular, he didn't expect Tantai Lian to be nearby, but he only sensed the aura of the Phoenix inheritance now. Why are you here? Forget it, let's kill first. Chen Hao couldn't help but ask. However, halfway through he said directly, no matter how excited or surprised he was, now was not the time to reminisce. What's going on? How is this possible? Chen Hao and the others have powerful helpers? What a powerful aura. It's definitely not inferior to the 4 wild dragons. Heavens, why did such a terrifying expert suddenly appear? Buzz. Hiss. Hiss. It was also at this moment that the trembling group of palaces suddenly trembled at a terrifying speed. In an instant, the radiance reached the extreme. A mysterious and dense aura covered the sky and earth as it descended. Immediately, all the palaces disappeared. Ah! Amidst the screams, the heaven celestial expert who was about to die at the hands of the three powerful girls suddenly became excited at this moment. A kind of shackle on his body and soul disappeared with the disappearance of the palaces. In an instant, like a hidden dragon emerging from the sea, hundreds of birds flying out of the cage, endless power surged and surged. Heaven celestial. The real power of a heaven celestial rose. Ha ha ha. Let's see how you're going to kill me. Die. Now who can kill me? Ha ha. Boom. Boom. At this moment, countless onlooking cultivators turned into streaks of flowing light and flew madly toward the core. The Forbidden City had already disappeared. It had become the real core of the barren mountains and mountains. Not even a trace of a city was left. Only the cultivators who were still here proved that this was once the city of the 9th seal. These onlooking cultivators had also recovered their magical powers. The first thing they did was to rush thousands of miles away. Without the restriction of the 9 seals of immortality, the safe distance to watch the battle increased by thousands of times. If they got any closer, those with lower cultivations might become the fish in the pond that would be implicated. Chaotic celestial light. Hellfire prairie fire. Jade crystal bloom. Da. The three girls shouted the word die in one. The three heaven celestial experts who were locked in a life and death situation, but suddenly possessed the real power of a heaven celestial suddenly stopped laughing. Hellion Wuxia's chaotic celestial light turned one of them into air and returned to chaos. Tantai Lian's hellfire burned another person into ashes. Xia Yuyu released her jade crystal divine power and slashed her opponent into 2 halves, turning him into minced meat. Chapter 760. Author's note. I'm going to faint. I said there were 5 chapters, but there were only 4. It turns out that Wuxian was being stupid. Now the content of the 4th chapter has been changed. The original 5th chapter should be the current one. Xiao Wu, stop Hu Mainyang for a moment. Xiao Lian Yu, stop the 4 wild dragons. Chen Hao's voice came from afar. With the disappearance of the 9 celestial seals, he was only at the medium stage of the Earth celestial stage, and couldn't compete with a real celestial being. When the palace shook violently, He hid himself and ran away quickly. He activated his essence qi and spirit to the extreme. Chunling and Li Yang also attacked crazily and retreated quickly toward Chunhao. At the same time, they activated their essence qi and spirit. Coiled Dragon was the most ferocious. He knew that the 4 wild dragons could increase his power several times, but he didn't retreat first. Instead, he activated his essence, qi, and spirit to trigger the divine punishment. Then he started to retreat toward Chunhao. Humph, can you stop me? Qi. Hu Meinyang was like a fairy from the 9th heaven. The recovery of the divine sense made her power soar many times. What was more shocking was that she activated her essence, qi, and spirit and rushed toward the sky. Qi. Hu Meinyang swung her sword toward Hellion Wuxia. Rumble. The continuous moonlight and the sword light met, and an extremely horrible aura burst out. A huge black crack appeared in the void. Today, you all have to die. So what if there are 3 more experts? Without the suppression of the 9 celestial seals, no one in the same stage can defeat me. Moreover, I want to reach the medium stage of the heaven celestial stage. Those who stop me will die. Hu Meinyang's power was awe-inspiring, and Hellion Wuxia frowned slightly. No one expected that Hu Meinyang, who had a natural Taoist embryo, had such horrible power. Before, Hellion Wuxia had absolute confidence that she could kill this woman who forced Chunhao to kill her. But now, Hellion Wuxia knew that it was impossible for her, who had just reached the initial stage of the heaven celestial stage, to kill Hu Meinyang, who was at the peak of the initial stage of the heaven celestial stage, and was about to reach the medium stage. Moreover, her essence qi, and spirit had triggered the divine punishment of a small stage. This was an extremely heaven-defying existence. Merge. Rumble. At this moment, the 4 berserk dragons activated their divine abilities and laws. In an instant, the 4 of them completed the true unification of the 4 beasts. You think the 2 of you can stop the 4 berserk dragons? Kill. Rumble. Crack. The combination of the heaven-defying 4 symbols once again triggered the heavenly punishment. Unlike the breakthrough of a cultivator, the area of the heavenly punishment triggered by the 4 berserk dragons was extremely small, and the time it took to gather was also very short. The 4 berserk dragons were like monsters as they charged towards Tantai Lian and Xia Yuyu who were blocking them. Elementary karmic fire burned fiercely. The power of the crystal jade body was fully activated. Contrary to the expectations of the 4 berserk dragons and everyone else, the 4 berserk dragons who had truly fused into one were actually unable to suppress Tantai Lian and Xia Yuyu. The terrifying aura of the karmic fire made the 4 berserk dragons, who had truly merged the 4 symbols as one, not dare to recklessly face it head-on. Although the combination of Xia Yuyu's jade crystal and the power of her own sword Dao was much weaker than the 4 symbols as one, when combined with the karmic fire, she could unleash an even greater battle prowess. Motherfucker, that bitch Hu Meinyang is actually so powerful. Senior brother, what should we do? Even if I become a heavenly immortal, I'm afraid it'll be hard for me to resist her current aura. Your friend is really strong, to actually be able to stop her for a while, but it won't be for long. A rare solemn look appeared in the wild eyes of the coiling dragon. Big brother, she's really very strong. Senior brother and I were completely suppressed by her, even when we joined forces. The innate Dao embryo is really terrifying. I didn't expect her to improve so quickly. Du Jing is also in danger. Chunling frantically activated her essence, energy, and spirit as she spoke. At this moment, Du Jing, who was already a heavenly immortal, was controlling the poisonous insects to fight against several heavenly immortal experts. The situation was also very precarious. Man proposes, God disposes. This time, we really took too much of a risk. This woman hid too deeply. I underestimated her. Chunhao said with a solemn expression. He was very clear that if it weren't for the arrival of Hellion Wuxia and the other 2 divine soldiers, they might not have been able to trigger the heavenly punishment. Now, even if they could trigger the heavenly punishment successfully, what would happen after that? He was only at the later stage of the Earth celestial stage. Coiling Dragon, Chunling, and Li Yang had already judged that they were no match for Hu Meinyang even if they became heavenly immortals. I'm afraid the innate Dao embryo is more powerful than we thought. After saying this, Chen Hao suddenly looked in Du Jing's direction and shouted, Du Jing, run away on your own. Big brother, I Du Jing, am not that kind of person. If we die together. At most, I'll go first. I'll wait for you, big brother. The corners of Du Jing's mouth were stained with blood, but his expression was crazy. He had never had a real friend, let alone a brother. However, after becoming Chen Hao's slave and being freed by Chen Hao and treated as his brother, he felt a brotherly affection that he had never tasted before. How could he not see the danger at this moment? But at this moment, he answered without any hesitation. There was only one thought in his mind, that was if we die together. Although he knew it was a stupid thing to do and it was not in line with the vicious nature of the disciples of the poisonous King's Valley, he still wanted to be as stupid for once. If you don't leave, you will die. We won't die for sure. If you treat me as your big brother, get out of here immediately. Moreover, I'm leaving too. In this life or death situation, Chen Hao didn't hesitate anymore and almost scolded him angrily. But his words not only surprised Du Jing, but also Coiling Dragon, Chen Ling, Li Yang and the women. What did he mean by leaving? As long as there is life, there is hope. If I die, remember to avenge me. If you die and I don't die, I, Chen Hao, will definitely take the heads of all of them. If we all die, I'll see you on the road to the netherworld. Senior brother, what do you mean? Big brother, what are you going to do? How run away? Run away immediately, I can hold on. Helian Wuxia suddenly said. Although she didn't know what Chen Hao was going to do, she knew that Chen Hao would bear the consequences himself. This was her understanding of Chen Hao. We can hold on. Run quickly. Tantai Lian and Xia Yuyu said at the same time, the aura around them instantly becoming more violent. None of you can run away. You're just struggling at death's door. Hu Meinyang said disdainfully, forcing Helian Wuxia to retreat step by step. Although Chen Hao and the others were also retreating quickly, the distance between them was still closing. If Hu Meinyang was willing, she could use a forbidden move to force Helian Wuxia away. But to kill her, it was not something that could be done in one move. Therefore, she wasn't in a hurry. When her heavenly punishment descended and she stepped into the middle stage, she could easily kill everyone. She couldn't let anyone here go, especially the main culprit, Chen Hao, who had unlimited potential, and the young girl who was fighting with her now. Whether it was the young girl's appearance or strength, she was jealous. She believed that if the young girl was in the same realm as her, it would be hard to say who would win. Chapter 761. No one is allowed to disobey my orders. No one is allowed to follow me. I won't die so easily. Chen Hao's voice was cold and arrogant. The core of the Tao manifestation celestial fruit is with me, and I have countless ancient magic treasures with me. I'm just at the medium stage of the earth celestial stage. When I become a heaven celestial, there will be no place for this bitch in this world. The rest is up to you. Boom. Chen Hao's body suddenly surged with an extremely violent energy. His entire body turned into a stream of light. Accompanied by the fluctuations of the world, he quickly flew in a certain direction. Hu Meinyang will definitely come after me. You should be able to stop the 4 mad dragons and the heaven celestials. I have a way to escape. Don't worry. A strand of divine thought suddenly entered everyone's ears. Xiao Wu, don't follow me. Stay with Xiao Lian Yuyu and kill the 4 mad dragons. Don't let them escape. Everyone's eyes lit up. They had been suppressed in the 9 restrictions of the celestial sealing spell for so many years. They had forgotten that they had recovered and could send messages. Du Jing, run away quickly. Stay away for a while and come back after they have completed their divine punishment. Chen Hao said to Du Jing, who was in a critical situation. Senior brother. Big brother. Big brother. Everyone shouted. Want to run away? Dream on. For mad dragons, you don't have to chase after me. Kill them all before they go through their heavenly tribulations. Leave Chen Hao to me. I'll be back soon. Chi. Hu Meinyang waved her sword and forced Helian Wuxia to retreat again. Then she turned into a ray of light and chased after Chen Hao at an amazing speed. She and Chen Hao had triggered their divine punishment. Although it had not been completed, The tribulation cloud in the void was following their footsteps and rolling forward. Chen Hao could not hide even if he wanted to. Of course, Chen Hao did not want to hide at all. His purpose was simple. He wanted to use Hu Meinyang's desire to get the core of the Tao manifestation celestial fruit to lure her away, and create an opportunity for Pan Long and the others. Fuck you. Kill them? Easy for you to say. Hu Meinyang, that bitch, is really a bitch. Damn, she's gone. How can we stop them? Don't hesitate. Retreat first. Do you think you can leave? Although Helian Wuxi knew that Chen Hao was very dangerous, she still chose to believe in Chen Hao. Although there was a huge gap between his cultivation level and Hu Meinyang's, escaping for his life might not be a difficult task for Chen Hao, especially since the speed that Chen Hao displayed just now was very fast. When the time came and Chen Hao took out the miniature flying machine, who could catch up to him? Therefore, without much hesitation, when Hu Meinyang left to chase after them, she immediately attacked the 4 wild dragons. However, Helian Wuxi didn't know that Chen Hao didn't have a miniature aircraft on him right now. However, Chen Hao had something more powerful than a miniature aircraft. As for Pan Long, Chen Ling, and Li Yang, even when the 3 of them triggered the heavenly punishment, they could not be killed instantly by other heavenly immortal experts. It was enough to hold them back for a while. Once the heavenly punishment descended, the 3 of them were so heaven-defying that even the 4 wild dragons dared not approach them, let alone other heavenly immortals. Once they reached the heavenly immortal realm, it would be one-sided. It could be said that as long as Hu Meinyang left, they would have the upper hand. If we want to leave, who can stop us? Explode. Boom. The 4 wild dragons suddenly activated a golden talisman that bloomed with boundless pressure, and threw it into the sky. In an instant, the boundless pressure combined with the thunderbolts triggered by the 4 of them and poured down. The space within a radius of 10,000 miles fluctuated terrifyingly, forcibly snatching away the spiritual chi of heaven and earth gathered by Pan Long and the other 2. Supreme-grade divine territory talisman? Be careful! Li Yang suddenly shouted. Chi. At this moment, Helian Wuxi suddenly rushed into the void. Her hands frantically formed talisman after talisman. A boundless and terrifying aura rose from between her eyebrows. Her long hair and white dress fluttered. Her cold little face shone with bone-chilling coldness. Her killing intent was like a knife. The rolling spiritual chi of heaven and earth was actually dispersed by Helian Wuxi's violent aura, and could not be condensed. Chaotic divine light. Come out! Boom. Crash. Following Helian Wuxi's clear and cold shout, the runes formed by her hands actually entered the space between her eyebrows. In an instant, a terrifying crystal light blossomed from the space between her eyebrows while she was high up in the air. Soon after, as if the Milky Way had fallen from the 9th heaven, an endless and colorless brilliance poured down and enveloped the 4 wild dragons. 9th heaven Milky Way, chaotic divine light. The colorless crystal light broke the 5 elements, went against heaven and earth, severed heaven's secrets, and messed up the void. Within the range, the Tao laws collapsed and heaven and earth collapsed. The spiritual chi of heaven and earth gathered by the 4 wild dragons with the divine territory talisman was instantly annihilated and swallowed by the chaotic divine light. The 9th heaven Milky Way suddenly became bigger, and the colorless chaotic divine light shone even more brightly. Puff, 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 puff. The 4 wild dragons, who were like a monstrous body, were instantly drowned by the endless chaotic divine light. There was no suspense at all as they spat out blood at the same time, and scattered in all directions. How is this possible? Impossible. Absolutely impossible. What kind of secret technique is this? No, what kind of magic treasure is this? The 4 wild dragons frantically resisted the chaotic divine light that almost annihilated them. Their hearts were filled with extreme fear. Evil slaying hellfire. Jade crystal kill. Boom. Chi. Amidst their shock, Tantai Lian and Xia Yu suddenly activated all the strength in their bodies and condensed an extremely powerful attack toward the 4 wild dragons, who were shrouded by the endless chaotic divine light. Rumble. Ah, the chaotic divine light, the raging hellfire, and the brilliant sword light superimposed on each other, causing heaven and earth to change color and the sun and moon to dim. Almost in an instant, the 4 wild dragons' mournful and unwilling screams were annihilated by the terrifying energy explosion. The 4 wild dragons, who had lost the 4 divine light, had fallen. Run. Split up and run. Boom. Boom. The nearly 30-plus experts of the Heaven Immortal realm had never imagined that the insufferably arrogant 4 wild dragons would perish so quickly. Even though they had already surrounded Pan Long, Chunling, and Li Yang, who were drawing down the heavenly tribulation, they knew that it was absolutely impossible to kill the 3 of them with 1 or 2 moves. Moreover, the 3 women who were free would become the reapers of their lives. Fleeing, they could only flee in all directions as quickly as possible. Fuck you. You still want to run away? Pan Long roared as he chased after them with his huge axe. Humph. No one can run away. Senior brother, let's split up and chase after them. Chi. Pan Long, Chunling, Li Yang, and the pale-faced Tantai Lian and Xia Yuyu, who still had the ability to fight, split up in 5 different directions and chased after them. Crack! Chunling's heavenly punishment descended first. Thunder rumbled and instantly enveloped an area of several thousand miles. Sister-in-law Xiaolian, sister-in-law Yuyu, stop chasing them. They can't run away. Hurry up and take sister-in-law Xiaolian and leave this place. Chapter 762. The terrifying heavenly punishment descended. Even Tantai Lian and Xia Yuyu didn't dare to lower their guard at this moment. Just now, they had used a huge amount of energy to annihilate the 4 wild dragons. Especially Helian Wuxia, who had even used a taboo technique and brought out the terrifying 9th Heaven Silver River. She had already weakly collapsed onto the ground. So when they heard Chunling's words, they immediately turned around and rushed to Helian Wuxia. They lifted her up and flew away. Crack. Rumble. Chunyang's heavenly punishment finally fell from the sky. Then Pan Long's heavenly punishment exploded. Everyone's heavenly punishment covered thousands of miles. The 3 of them took the heavenly punishment and chased after the escaping cultivators. At this moment, they didn't even need to attack. The heavenly punishment's aura made nearly 30 heaven celestial stage experts feel great pressure, and their speed decreased sharply. The cultivators who were watching from afar were all dumbfounded. They ran away crazily. The heavenly punishment of the 3 of them was really heaven-defying. Once they entered the area covered by the heavenly punishment, those heaven celestial stage experts would be killed, let alone them, who dared to stay where they were, borrowing the power of the heavenly punishment to kill these cultivators. Such a crazy move was rarely seen in the world. It was rare since ancient times. Firstly, the heavenly tribulation itself was an existence that was difficult for cultivators to endure. Secondly, when the heavenly tribulation was triggered, it was undoubtedly the best time to temper one's body. Sensing the laws of the heavenly Tao and tempering one's body was the most important thing. No one would waste their energy on other things. But Pan Long, Chunling, and Li Yang would rather sacrifice the heavenly punishment to temper themselves than let anyone go. Crack. Rumble. Ah! 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 Shrill and unwilling screams could be heard from 3 different directions. Under the terrifying 9 heavens' divine thunder, the bodies of the heaven celestial stage experts were destroyed and their souls shattered. Pan Long, Chunling, and Li Yang also endured the more terrifying lightning. But Pan Long's body was unshakable. His soul, which had almost merged with his body, also withstood the first heavenly punishment easily. Chunling and Li Yang both had celestial spiritual bodies and were extremely powerful. As for their souls, needless to say, it was also easy. What they had to do was to use their fastest speed to get close to their enemies. How terrifying. I don't even need to do anything. After fleeing for a distance, no one chased after Du Jing. He had stopped a long time ago. At this moment, he stood in the void and stared at the extremely terrifying divine punishments in 3 directions. He also heard the shrill screams of the heaven immortal experts when they were on the verge of death. He was shocked, but more than that, he was excited. A stream of light flashed past. Tantai Lian and Xia Yuyu supported the pale-faced Helian Wuxia. Under the shocked gazes of countless people, they flew to the front of several figures flying towards them. How is Xiao Wu? Let me help you. Chen Shui caught Helian Wuxi and immediately channeled her energy into Helian Wuxi's body. At the same time, everyone landed on a mountain peak. Tantai Lian and Xia Yuyu, who were also extremely weak, immediately sat up cross-legged. Crack. Rumble. The three regions were filled with thunder and lightning. This continued for an entire 10 minutes. Yet there weren't any more shrill cries. Even though they were too far away and couldn't really see it, everyone knew that none of the 30 heavenly celestial stage experts had escaped. It was also at this moment that two of the weaker divine punishments quickly merged together. Not long after, the two divine punishments merged into one. In an instant, an even more terrifying divine punishment descended. Chunling and Liyang combined. This was their real divine punishments. Even the coiling dragon was defeated. No one knew that millions of miles away, endless tribulation clouds were gathering in the sky. The same terrifying divine punishments caused the surrounding cultivators to avoid them. No matter if it was the human race or the other races, no one dared to get close. Ah, come on, my dear divine punishments. When I succeed, it will be the time for Lu Yuming to become famous in the 10 major galaxies. Ha ha ha. The Tao manifestation immortal fruit core is mine. Hu Mengyang of the vast universe galaxy is also mine. I, Lu Yuming, will become the nightmare of all the alien race experts. Ha ha ha. Lu Yuming, one of the top 10 experts of the Phantom Clan, stared at the terrifying tribulation clouds with disdain. He did not care about the divine punishments that were about to arrive. He, who had been well prepared and had a great opportunity, was full of ambition for his future. Just as he was laughing sinisterly, he suddenly sensed two weak waves of heaven and earth coming from afar. Such weak divine punishments. How dare you attract them near me? And two. What? They're approaching quickly? Their speed is amazing. But they're courting death. Ha ha. Come on. Let my divine punishments blast you to smithereens. Boom. Lu Yuming, the Phantom Clan expert, suddenly raised his aura again. His figure flashed, and he charged toward the person who dared to challenge his divine punishments. Good timing. Crack. As the terrifying thunder crashed down, Chen Hao didn't seem to be affected at all. He focused all of his strength and mind on increasing his flying speed. Less than 100 miles behind him, there was a streak of light that wasn't any slower than Chen Hao. It was also enduring the terrifying heavenly punishment, but it didn't seem to care at all. This person was, of course, the abnormally powerful Hu Mengyang. You want to use other people's divine punishments to deal with me? You're dreaming. Hu Mengyang shouted coldly. She, who had attracted thousands of heavenly Daras, naturally sensed the terrifying waves of divine punishments in the distance. This must be the great divine punishments of an Earth Celestial Stage cultivator, who had stepped into the Heaven Celestial Stage. Moreover, it was triggered by a rare genius. At this moment, it was indeed several times more powerful than her and Chen Hao's divine punishments. However, such divine punishments were not much of a threat to her. What was there to fear? Why do I need other people's divine punishments to deal with you? If you have the ability, catch up with me. 100 miles is so close, yet so far. Ha ha ha, bitch. Chen Hao said, laughing wildly. At this moment, although Chen Hao was only at the medium stage of the Earth Celestial Stage, the perfect combination of his abnormal soul and body made his speed comparable to that of Hu Mengyang, who was at the peak of the initial stage of the Heaven Celestial Stage. In a short time, Hu Mengyang would not be able to catch up with him. Even if Hu Mengyang completed her divine punishments and stepped into the medium stage of the Heaven Celestial Stage, Chen Hao was absolutely confident that he could get rid of her completely. But now he would not do that. His purpose was to lure away Hu Mengyang, who had the most powerful combat capability. How could he let her get away? I will tear you to shreds. I'd like to see how long you can laugh. This is already the 5th level of divine punishments. After 4 more levels, I will step into the medium stage of the Heaven Celestial Stage. Then you can't escape. If I wanted to escape, I would have left you far behind, bitch. Let me tell you, I'm just luring you away. The 4 furious dragons and those idiots who are following you may be finished now. Ha ha ha. Chapter 763. Humph, you think I'll believe you? Why would I care about the lives of those people? Idiot. No matter what you say now, it's useless. What I want is to kill you and get the Tao manifestation fruit and all the treasures. Hu Meinyang said coldly. At this moment, there were no onlookers around. She no longer concealed her viciousness. The more Chen Hao tempted her to give up the chase, the more she believed that Chen Hao was at his wit's end. Moreover, as she said, she did not care about the lives of the 4 wild dragons and the group of heaven immortals. She already knew that there was not much hope in killing Pan Long and the rest. The best result was to die together with them. That way, she would not have to share the treasures with those heaven immortal experts in the future. In her opinion, this possibility was still very high. After all, although Hellion Wuxia was strong, it would be difficult to kill the 4 wild dragons in a short time even if she joined forces with Tantai Lian and Xia Yuyu. 30 heaven immortal experts besieged Pan Long, Chen Ling and Li Yang. As long as they formed a joint attack, they would be able to kill the 3 of them in a short time. However, she did not know that although the 4 wild dragons were wild, they had no intention of risking their lives for her. When she left, they wanted to escape. If that was not the case, Hellion Wuxia would not have used a forbidden power that was beyond her ability. Otherwise, if she delayed a little, Pan Long, Chen Ling, and Li Yang would really be in danger. However, when the 4 wild dragons wanted to escape, Hellion Wuxia, who already knew that the 4 of them wanted to kill Chen Hao twice and force Chen Hao into a dangerous situation, hated them to the core. She did not hesitate to use the forbidden power, and joined forces with Tantai Lian and Xia Yuyu to kill the 4 wild dragons in an instant. When the 4 wild dragons died, the nearly 30 heaven immortal experts were scared out of their wits. The joint attack that they formed with great difficulty collapsed instantly, and they frantically fled in all directions. What happened next was naturally simple. This was something that Hu Meinyang and Chen Hao did not expect. Ruthless. Is that so? Soon, you will know what it means to be even more ruthless. Hu Meinyang's eyes shone with a strange light as she said coldly, God of slaughter Chen Hao, Saintess Hu Meinyang? They are both heaven's wrath. Very good. Very good. The heavens are helping me. It's time for me Lu Yuming to prosper. When Lu Yuming saw Chen Hao and Hu Meinyang in the distance, he suddenly showed a look of surprise. But soon, he was filled with boundless excitement and laughed sinisterly. Just in time. Come down. Crack. Rumble. Rolling heavenly thunder fell from the sky. Lu Yuming suddenly accelerated and rushed toward Chen Hao and Hu Meinyang. He was very confident in his heaven-defying divine punishment. In his opinion, as long as he got close to the 2 of them, he would be able to kill Hu Meinyang and Chen Hao. This was absolutely a great fortune for him. Originally, after he stepped into the celestial immortal stage, he would have a chance to kill a top expert like Hu Meinyang by relying on the innate concealment divine ability of the Ghost Clan, and his own powerful assassination skills. As for the god of killing, Chen Hao, although he was not afraid of him because of his stage, he also knew that Chen Hao had several experts by his side. But now he was able to take down the 2 of them effortlessly. He had obtained the Tao manifestation immortal fruit core, and Hu Meinyang, who had made thousands of geniuses of the human race submit to him. How could he not be excited? An expert of the Ghost Clan? When Chen Hao saw the ferocious appearance of the rolling heavenly thunder, he immediately showed a smile. This way, there would be no burden in his heart. If it were a human cultivator, it would be a little unkind of him to disturb him while he was triggering divine punishment. But for an alien, it was natural to kill him, not to mention disturb him. Chen Hao suddenly sped up and rushed toward Lu Yuming's divine punishment field. Crack. Crack. Rumble. Chen Hao's divine punishment of a small stage suddenly overlapped with Lu Yuming's terrifying divine punishment, and violently bombarded Chen Hao. What a powerful divine punishment! Feeling the terrifying power and pressure from the thunder, Chen Hao suddenly and violently activated his essence, qi, and spirit. Instead of slowing down, he approached Lu Yuming at an even faster speed. The closer he was to Lu Yuming, the stronger the divine punishment would be. Humph! Just a last-ditch struggle. Hu Meinyang's eyes were cold and her figure flashed. Facing the power of the double divine punishment, she was relentless and fearless. You're seeking your own death. You're underestimating me too much. When Lu Yuming saw that Chen Hao had stepped into his heavenly punishment domain, he actually dared to take the initiative to approach him. Lu Yuming didn't take his heavenly punishment seriously at all. Even if it was exactly what he wanted, it was still very unpleasant to be looked down upon like this. This is only my first heavenly punishment. I'd like to see to what extent you dare to approach me. Humph. But only a moment later, Lu Yuming's face changed. In the rolling heavenly thunder, Chen Hao and Hu Meinyang were like madmen. They did not care about the terrifying pressure on their bodies and souls. In the blink of an eye, they had rushed to only a few hundred miles away from him. A few hundred miles was almost the core of his divine punishment. Even if it was not as strong as what he was enduring, it was not much weaker. Moreover, both of them were enduring their own divine punishment. It could be said that at this moment, the pressure they were enduring was definitely not less than his, but their speed was still as fast as lightning. How can they be so strong? No, I can't let them get any closer for the time being. Otherwise, I'll be in danger. Swish. Lu Yuming did not dare to delay. He suddenly turned sideways and rushed quickly. But as soon as Lu Yuming moved, Chen Hao also changed his direction immediately. Then, Hu Meinyang also changed her direction immediately. In an instant, Lu Yuming was in front, Chen Hao was in the middle, and Hu Meinyang was following behind. Accompanied by rolling heavenly thunder, they went into the depths of the divine punishment at an astonishing speed. Thousands of miles in an instant, Lu Yuming's initial excitement had disappeared and was replaced by uneasiness and irritation. He had always been confident. Although he had seen the strength of Chen Hao and Hu Meinyang before, they were only on par with him. Even if Hu Meinyang had triggered a divine punishment of the medium stage of the heaven celestial stage, he did not take it to heart. He believed in his divine punishment. But now, the two of them looked relaxed, especially when they were enduring their own divine punishment. They were even more relaxed than him. It was not until now that he felt the danger. No. I can only speed up the divine punishment and enter the 9th level as soon as possible. Swish. Seeing that Chen Hao was getting closer and closer to him, although Lu Yuming was unwilling, he had to make a choice. He could only give up the training of resisting the divine punishment and let the more powerful 2nd level of divine punishment descend. Without much hesitation, he slashed at the tribulation cloud in the void above his head. Rumble. The brilliant sword light was incomparably sharp. The sword chi crisscrossed and broke the tribulation cloud in half. Swish. 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 Lu Yuming, who was flying at high speed, once again gathered the tribulation cloud above his head. An even more terrifying divine punishment poured down. In this period of time when there was no divine punishment, Lu Yuming put all his effort into increasing his speed. Even so, Chen Hao was still approaching him little by little. Chapter 764. Chen Hao, the god of slaughter, is only at the medium stage of the Earth's celestial stage. His physique, soul, and speed are so powerful. Hu Meinyang is much more powerful than before. Did they hide their strength? Fuck them. I thought it was an opportunity. I didn't expect it would put me in danger. I even had to give up the tempering of the heavenly punishment. Lu Yuming gnashed his teeth. Crack. Rumble. A moment later, Lu Yuming's 2nd heavenly punishment arrived. Hu Meinyang's 5th heavenly punishment was still ongoing. She was not anxious at all. In her opinion, everything was under her control. The heavenly punishment of a small stage was still a heavenly punishment. It was a heavenly punishment that targeted her own shortcomings. It was a rare opportunity for her to temper herself. She could totally resist the heavenly punishment and pursue Chen Hao at the same time. Chen Hao's minor heavenly punishment was the same as Hu Meinyang's. He was also in the 5th heavenly punishment. Humph. I don't believe you can hold on until the end. When my 9th heavenly punishment comes into contact with the heavenly punishment, I will be restored to the peak of the heaven celestial stage in an instant. At that time, I will show you how powerful I am. Chi. Lu Yuming was very reluctant. However, After the second heavenly punishment lasted for a moment, he slashed at the tribulation cloud again. The third heavenly punishment, the fourth heavenly punishment, the fifth heavenly punishment. The heavenly punishment became more and more horrible. At this time Lu Yuming, who was in great pain, became more and more frightened. I can't die like this. Break it for me. Chi. Lu Yuming endured the pain all over his body and slashed at the tribulation cloud again with all his strength. If he stopped and endured the heavenly punishment with all his strength, he could resist it easily. However, flying at such a high speed, and the consumption of his strength to break the tribulation cloud was too much for him to bear. However, Chen Hao and Hu Meinyang, who were chasing him, were much slower. They were still in a better state than him. Moreover, they were getting closer. Crack. Like a purgatory of thunder, the seventh heavenly punishment finally reached a qualitative change. The majestic and horrible pressure and endless thunderbolts fell violently. Chi. Chi. Rumble. 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 At this moment, Lu Yuming, who had triggered the great heavenly punishment, and Chen Hao and Hu Meinyang, who were chasing him, summoned all their strength to resist the seventh heavenly punishment. Has it finally stopped? Very good. Lu Yuming's eyes shone with a crystalline light. This time he did not directly slash at the tribulation cloud. Instead, he activated just the right amount of power to resist the heavenly punishment's attack. At the same time, he frantically extracted the spiritual chi of heaven and earth to restore himself. Damn it! Could it be that this slut is still hiding her strength? Chen Hao urged his energy to resist the terrifying heavenly punishment. His heart was filled with shock. Originally, he had wanted to use Lu Yuming's terrifying heavenly punishment to see if he could find an opportunity to kill Hu Meinyang. But now, it seemed that his plan had been completely wasted. Regardless of whether it was her physical body or soul, Hu Meinyang was able to keep up with his footsteps under this terrifying heavenly punishment. Moreover, she didn't seem to be injured at all. At the fifth level, Chen Hao suspected that Hu Meinyang had not pushed her speed to the limit and had deliberately slowed down. After that, Hu Meinyang also slowed down and maintained a certain distance from him. But now, Chen Hao pretended that he could no longer move forward and stopped. Hu Meinyang also stopped. This was already very obvious. Hu Meinyang was definitely at ease. The reason why she did not chase after him was nothing more than to tease him and use Lu Yuming's heavenly punishment to temper herself. Fortunately, I still have a trump card. Otherwise, I would really die in the hands of this stinking bitch. Since you want to play with me, then I'll play with you. After confirming that he had guessed Hu Meinyang's intention, Chen Hao immediately bluffed and resisted the heavenly punishment. However, he channeled more of the heavenly punishment's power and pressure into his body to temper his physical body and soul. Moreover, he deliberately made his physical body show signs of cracking and charring. Hu Meinyang was even more direct. She actually began to resist the double heavenly punishment. Good. Very good. God of Slaughter, Chen Hao obviously can't take it anymore. Hu Meinyang wants to use my heavenly punishment to temper herself. I have to say this woman is really strong. But in the end she is still too confident. In that case, I have nothing to be afraid of. Seeing the situation of the two, Lu Yuming was completely relieved. God of Slaughter, Chen Hao was no longer a threat. As for Hu Meinyang, since she had chosen to resist his heavenly punishment, then as long as she persevered until the heavenly punishment ended, and was instantly restored to the peak of the heavenly immortal stage, he would have the absolute advantage. He believed that no matter how strong Hu Meinyang was, after withstanding his 9 heavenly punishments, she would be weakened to a certain extent. At that time, with the innate concealment ability of the spirit race, he was very confident that he could assassinate Hu Meinyang. Even if he could not, it would be easy for him to escape. Chi. Rumble. Lu Yuming also chose to resist the heavenly punishment directly. Even if he was severely injured, he did not care. After all, once the heavenly punishment ended, he would be a heavenly immortal, and in his peak state. Aren't you very strong? You are only at the 7th level, and you can't take it anymore? Don't worry, I promise I won't let you die under the heavenly punishment. After resisting the heavenly punishment, every inch of Hu Meinyang's exposed skin vaguely appeared with runes of Tao. It looked extremely shocking. What was even more shocking was that she could divert some of her attention to speak casually. Damn, what kind of monster is this woman? Chen Hao did not say a word. It seemed that the terrifying heavenly punishment had robbed him of the ability to speak. However, he was cursing in his heart. Chen Hao had never encountered such a shocking situation. He thought that he had seen through Hu Meinyang's strength time and time again. But he had miscalculated time and time again. She is not a monster. She is using the body of the Khanate Taoist fetus as a weapon. She is using the powerful runes to condense on her body, using her body as her natal magic treasure. Fortunately, she has only started to condense it after she stepped into the heavenly immortal stage, and has not succeeded yet. If she had succeeded, all of you would have died in her hands. However, Old God's voice suddenly sounded in Chen Hao's mind. With the disappearance of the 9 seals of immortality, Old God could already appear. In these years, although he could not communicate with Chen Hao, Old God's strength had also risen. However, what? I'm afraid that she is not going to simply kill you. What do you mean? Oh no, there is a problem. Master, you have to be careful. Old God suddenly said in horror. After saying this, he completely disappeared from Chen Hao's perception. What's going on? Old God? Old God. Chen Hao immediately called out in his mind. However, there was no response from Old God. This made Chen Hao dumbfounded. Old God. Fuck you. Chen Hao had the urge to vomit blood. Was he fucking playing with him? One must know that he had always been calm and collected because he had Old God, his biggest trump card, which was more powerful than a miniature aircraft. But now, the Old God, who had always been reliable, had dropped the ball when he was facing a life-or-death crisis. This was going to kill him. Chapter 765. Master, if you want to scold me, then so be it. I'm doing this for your own good. I've already said that I don't have a mother. Or rather, my mother is a man. I believe you can do it. Chen Hao didn't know that in the depths of his mind, the Old God, who had already taken human form, was laughing sinisterly. Fuck. I'm the only one who can be relied on. I don't believe that this bitch can kill me. Did the Old God intentionally let me be captured by this bitch? Chen Hao's eyes shone with a crystalline light, but he still didn't move. He was only desperately resisting the heavenly punishment. Chen Hao felt extremely strange that the Old God had suddenly dropped the ball. It was obvious that the Old God had done this on purpose. However, Chen Hao didn't know why. His intuition told him that it had something to do with the runes that had appeared on Hu Meinyang's body. However, Chen Hao couldn't figure out what the Old God couldn't tell him. Let's go. We'll chase after Big Brother. Alright. That bitch Hu Meinyang really hit it well. Senior brother might be in danger. Wait. Don't chase after them. At this moment, Tan Tai Lien, who had recovered a little, suddenly stopped them. Why? We're not in danger now. Chen Ling didn't understand. You won't be able to catch up. The entire space in the core area is constantly changing. Every blade of grass, every tree, every mountain, every rock has an ancient formation. Look around. Xia Yu explained. What's wrong with the surroundings? The wild coiling dragon looked around and asked in confusion. That's not right. There were so many cultivators watching before, but now there's no one within a radius of hundreds of thousands of miles. Chen Ling said in surprise. 10,000 miles of distance, changing every 10 minutes. There's no way to know where they fled to. Even if we keep comprehending and deciphering the formation's mysteries, we won't be able to find them. They're chasing and fleeing, so it's impossible for them to distinguish their direction. Then what should we do? Li Yang frowned. Although he and Qinling were born in the 9 restrictions immortal sealing area, their master didn't leave any records of the core area. There's no other way. I'm afraid that I'll only be able to see it after I've obtained all the ancient inheritances in the core area, and opened a space-time gate to step out of this holy land for cultivation. I believe that Hao Hao will be fine. Xia Yu said. When little Wu recovers, she will be able to bring you to the place of inheritance of the supreme expert. Crack. Rumble. Amidst the endless lightning, Chen Hao seemed to be extremely weak as he frantically resisted the terrifying heavenly punishment. Very good, you actually managed to persevere all the way to the 9th level. Hu Meinyang stared at Chen Hao with a hint of excitement in her voice. At this moment, the runes on her body had become even clearer after being tempered by the heavenly punishment. Damn, even the 9th level is so easy. Chen Hao had miscalculated again. At this time, Chen Hao knew he couldn't wait any longer. Lu Yoming's 9th level heavenly punishment was so powerful that Chen Hao, who was only at the medium stage of the Earth's celestial stage, started to seriously injure his body. His recovery speed couldn't keep up with the speed of damage. Break. Chi. Chen Hao's spear pierced the sky. Rumble. He, who had just reached the 9th level heavenly punishment, directly pierced through his own tribulation cloud. However, the power of the tribulation cloud was instantly devoured by Lu Yoming's great tribulation cloud, which was several times more powerful. Whoosh! Chen Hao's figure instantly turned into a streamer, shuttled through the lightning, and flew away at an amazing speed. He broke through the tribulation cloud, and escaped in one breath. What? You were pretending? Hu Meinyang's expression changed abruptly. Don't even think about escaping. Chi. Hu Meinyang didn't hesitate at all. The moment Chen Hao broke through the tribulation cloud with his spear, she also attacked. Her fist smashed the void and broke her 9th level heavenly tribulation cloud. She immediately chased after Chen Hao. Rumble. The tribulation cloud was broken, and the cultivation stage rose. Chen Hao, who had broken through to the medium stage of the Earth's celestial stage, was twice as fast as before. However, Hu Meinyang, who had also reached the medium stage of the heaven's celestial stage, was even faster. You want to leave just like that? Dream on. Ha ha ha. Ah. Die. This time, Chen Hao didn't run toward Lu Yuming, who was at the core of the tribulation cloud. Instead, he ran to the left. He wanted to escape from the realm of heaven's punishment as quickly as possible. Hu Meinyang was also chasing after Chen Hao. In Lu Yoming's opinion, they were afraid that he would kill them after he succeeded in executing the realm of heaven's punishment. Therefore, he shouted complacently. He was ready to sacrifice his last bit of time to break through the tribulation cloud, kill Chen Hao, and kill Hu Meinyang. Now he had no intention of subduing Hu Meinyang, who was a freak. However, he didn't expect that Hu Meinyang, who was chasing after Chen Hao, would suddenly turn around and attack him with her sword. The dazzling sword Radiance, which seemed to have broken through the space barrier, arrived in an instant. Lu Yoming's sinister laughter stopped abruptly and turned into a horrible scream. It wasn't that Lu Yuming was too weak, but that Hu Meinyang was too powerful. Of course, it was also because Lu Yuming was too stupid. At this moment, he was resisting the realm of heaven's punishment. He was in a weakened state and hadn't recovered yet. How dare he provoke Hu Meinyang? Boom. Hu Meinyang didn't even look at him. Her body only paused slightly because of the sword Radiance. However, under the realm of heaven's punishment and Hu Meinyang's fatal sword Radiance, Lu Yuming, one of the top 10 elites of the Phantom Clan, was directly turned into ashes. What a tragic guy, what a tragic life. How is this possible? Chen Hao's hair stood on end. He was extremely frightened. Chen Hao, do you think you can still run away? If I, Hu Meinyang, want to kill you, one sword is enough. Don't think about hiding. If you didn't expose your concealment skills in front of the core palace, you might have a chance to escape. But now don't even think about it. Hu Meinyang's expression no longer had the purity of a saintess. She was a pure demon. Her laughter was extremely charming. If it were an ordinary person, their bones would have melted. However, the words she said were bone-chilling. Even Chen Hao was no exception. Bitch, who are you trying to scare? Trying to scare you? Go ahead and try. Hu Meinyang still maintained a distance of 200 miles from Chen Hao. At this distance, if she wanted to, she could kill Chen Hao with one sword strike. She had stepped into the middle stage of Heaven Immortal. If she was in the vast universe galaxy, she would definitely be an invincible Heaven Immortal. Chen Hao was at most an invincible Earth Immortal. He could only fight against an ordinary Heaven Immortal. He was no match for Hu Meinyang. After all, This was not a situation where the 9 seals of immortality were suppressing him. Hiss. With Lu Yuming dead, the realm of heaven's punishment dissipated. Therefore, Chen Hao did not hesitate to activate the appearance-changing ring. At the same time, he activated the Heart Sutra of merging with heaven and earth. In an instant, he disappeared into thin air. Not even a trace of his aura was left behind. Chi 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 chi. Hu Meinyang snorted coldly and spread out her hands. Instantly, the sound of 10,000 Daos rang out, causing heaven and earth to tremble. Boundless Daos appeared out of nowhere, locking down the space around Chen Hao and Hu Meinyang. Chapter 766. How is it? Hu Meinyang said with a relaxed expression. However, there was a hint of shock in the depths of her eyes. At the same time, she used her vast magic power to activate thousands of Taoist laws to shrink them. After witnessing Chen Hao's concealment technique in front of the core palace, she was already prepared, and she was sure that Chen Hao hadn't run away. However, she was actually unable to sense a trace of Chen Hao's aura even though she attacked so quickly. After all, she was now a true middle-stage heaven immortal, and her perception had been pushed to the limit. She could not help but be shocked. Damn it! Chen Hao have such a day. Old God! What the hell do you mean? Hidden between heaven and earth, Chen Hao could not help but curse in his mind. He knew very well that Hu Meinyang definitely did not sense him. However, it did not matter whether she sensed him or not. As the dense and crisscrossing Taoist laws closed in, he was like a bird in a cage to Hu Meinyang. Catching him was as easy as catching a turtle in a jar. Moreover, Chen Hao did not have any ability to resist. Bitch, I didn't expect you to hide so deeply. Chen Hao did not continue to hide. He revealed himself and stared at Hu Meinyang. Deeply? You still haven't seen the true strength of me, Hu Meinyang. Ha ha. If I'm not wrong, you were the one who forced me to run away and chased after me, right? Smart. If I didn't do that, how could I have the Tao manifestation immortal fruit and all your magic treasures? I am the saintess of the Misty Rain House, holy and flawless. No flaws are allowed. What about before? With your true strength, I don't believe that you couldn't defeat me in the previous battle. Chen Hao said. Aha. You overestimate me. With the suppression of the 9 seals of immortal sealing, I am a bird without wings. The innate Taoist embryo's strongest attribute is the word Tao. The Taoist laws are incomplete, and I don't even have 1% of my strength. Even if I become a heaven immortal, I can't do it. What else do you want to know? Meinyang can tell you everything. Hu Meinyang said patiently with a smile as she stared at Chen Hao. If someone who didn't know what was going on saw them, they would think that Chen Hao was her friend. You think you've got me? What do you think? Ha 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 ha. Hu Meinyang's entire body exuded boundless charm. Her jade-like face blossomed with the radiance of spring. Her eyes were bright and misty, filled with naked provocation as she stared at Chen Hao. Slut, an ugly bitch like you. Even if your seduction technique is 100 or 1,000 times stronger, it still won't work on me. If you want to kill me, just come. What was the point of doing so? Don't say you're going to rape me. Chen Hao said disdainfully. Actually, he was already certain that Hu Meinyang would not immediately kill him. However, he did not know exactly what Hu Meinyang wanted to do. At this moment, seeing Hu Meinyang's appearance, Chen Hao faintly guessed at something. If Hu Meinyang wanted to kill him, there was no way he could resist. There was no need for her to use her seduction technique on him. Is Meinyang that kind of person in your eyes? Hu Meinyang was still smiling as she said. Meinyang is as pure as ice and as pure as jade. You're the only one who has taken advantage of Meinyang. The medium stage of the Earth celestial stage. Oh, now the late stage of the Earth celestial stage. You have such powerful strength. I have to say that you're the most talented man I've ever seen. When you step into the heaven celestial stage, perhaps even Meinyang at the medium stage of the heaven celestial stage may not be your match. Especially your physique. You're obviously immortal, but in the 9 seals of celestial sealing, you're so powerful that you're comparable to the #1 genius in the history of our vast universe galaxy, Yi Xian. Meinyang is indeed very interested in you. Unfortunately, you have no background. However, if I kill you just like that, it would be a pity. Ha 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 ha. Seal. Chi, chi. As Hu Meinyang laughed coquettishly, tens of thousands of daos resonated, and the wind and clouds surged. In an instant, the spiritual chi of heaven and earth and the Taoist principles in the space within 1,000 miles converged and formed a protective barrier with a diameter of 1,000 miles, completely isolating her and Chen Hao from the outside world. Fuck. What are you trying to do? Chen Hao's expression changed slightly as he cursed. This woman was too monstrous. Chen Hao had a feeling that he could not guess what she was trying to do. He also did not know what she was trying to do to him. Ha ha ha. I know that your soul and will are very, very strong. Otherwise, you wouldn't be able to hide from my senses. I also know that you must have cultivated a rare soul technique. Therefore, I won't kill you directly. I'll give you a chance. A chance. That's right. If you can seize this chance, you only need to agree to one condition of Meinyang. Moreover, it's a condition that will only benefit you and not harm you. Meinyang will definitely not make things difficult for you. If you can't seize it, then you can only die. Ahem. Why is it different from what I imagined? Just as Chen Hao was frowning and feeling extremely depressed, Old God's voice suddenly appeared in Chen Hao's mind. Old God, fuck your sister. Ahem. Master, this. Don't blame me. I originally thought that she would definitely forcefully fuse her yin and yang with you and then devour your body, soul, and the Tao manifestation immortal fruit to refine into her body cauldron. If that's the case, I believe that with Master's soul and will, as well as my and treasure hunter's help, you can easily take her down. Not only can you obtain her primordial yin, but you can also refine her. If I had made it clear to you, Master, you might not have agreed to it. Even if you can't resist the temptation and agree to it, I'm afraid it will leave a knot in your heart. Therefore, you might as well avoid it and wait for it to happen. When it happens, I'll appear. Then, you can do whatever you want and won't have a knot in your heart. However, I didn't expect this woman to act so unconventionally. Fuck. Old God, can you be any more shameless? Chen Hao was speechless when he heard Old God's words. Ahem. Everything is for Master. Fuck. You can still escape, right? This. I'm afraid not. But don't worry, Master. Let's see what she wants to do. I'll find an opportunity. Old God said. Don't look at me like that. You don't have a choice. If I want to kill you, it's just a matter of raising my hand. Hu Meinyang said with a smile. Speak. Chen Hao said helplessly. When one was under the eaves, one had to lower one's head. A real man knew when to yield and when to stand tall. As long as it did not go against his conscience, he would deal with it and look for a breakthrough. First, sign a soul symbiosis contract with me for a year. I know that if you have the chance, you'll kill me immediately. What we're about to do, I can't be distracted. Your soul cultivation is not inferior to mine. You won't be afraid, right? Hu Meinyang stared at Chen Hao. Do I have a choice? No. Then what are you talking about? Bring it out. Chi. Chi. As Chen Hao spoke, a ball of milky white light appeared between his eyebrows. At the same time, Hu Meinyang did the same. Chapter 767. These were the imprints of their respective soul dwellings. Under the control of their pure soul power, they slowly converged in the middle of the two. It seemed simple, but Hu Meinyang was very careful, afraid that Chen Hao would make things difficult for her. On the other hand, Chen Hao was fearless. The reason was simple, he had no choice. Chi 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 chi. When the two soul dwellings' imprints slowly met, they suddenly blossomed with resplendent light and quickly merged. Soon after, with a chi sound, they split into two again and merged into the space between their eyebrows at an astonishing speed. Fortunately, you didn't act impulsively. Do I look like such an idiot? Chen Hao disdainfully glanced at the endless Tao laws around him and said, I didn't expect your soul to be stronger than I thought. If you had really fought with me just now, you could have taken me down with you. It's even more possible now. But your life isn't worth it. Chen Hao said. Of course, even a mortal would think that their life is more important. If not, why would I sign a soul symbiotic contract with you? Aha. Well said. But I suddenly feel that it's worth it. I don't know if you're smart or stupid. After signing this contract, what else can you threaten me with? At worst, I'll die with you. Haha. Chen Hao stared at Hu Meinyang and said arrogantly. Of course, he was just saying this to give Hu Meinyang a warning in advance. If his conditions were too difficult and went against his own heart, then he would take her down with him. Do I look like such an idiot to you? Hu Meinyang smiled faintly and repeated Chen Hao's words back to him. Say it. What do you want? Chen Hao said. I'll teach you the secular heart sutra and dual cultivate with me. What? Chen Hao suddenly opened his eyes wide. What, you're not willing? Hu Meinyang's eyes suddenly bloomed with boundless flirtatiousness as she stared at Chen Hao with a sweet smile, full of provocation. Nonsense. I, Chen Hao, am not a casual person. His head could be severed and his blood could flow, but he would absolutely not do something like selling his body. Don't even think about it. Otherwise we'll die together. Chen Hao said righteously. Do you hate me that much? Is there a need to ask? If I could, I would have stabbed you to death long ago. Chen Hao stared at Hu Meinyang and said without hesitation. Ha ha ha. What are you laughing at? I'm serious. Do you think I don't dare? You do dare. I'm very clear about your killing intent towards me. Unfortunately, you don't have that ability. Hu Meinyang stared at Chen Hao, and the smile on her face suddenly disappeared. However, am I, Hu Meinyang, a casual person? The dual cultivation I'm talking about is not the fusion of yin and yang. You are not qualified. Chen Hao frowned slightly. At this point, he realized that he could not understand the thoughts of this seductive woman in front of him. He also did not know what her purpose was. All he could do was to take one step at a time. Now that you and I are dual cultivating, you need to merge our souls. I will open up the complete Mortal Heart Sutra for you. If you can comprehend the first level of the sutra before we form the soul symbiosis contract, you will have succeeded in the first step. If you can't, then you will die with me. I'm not joking either. What's your purpose? Do you think I'm afraid of dying together with you? If you can't comprehend it, you don't have to do anything. I'll drag you down with me. Can you let go of your Taoist companion? Can you let go of your family, relatives, and friends? Death is like blowing out a lamp. What's the point of talking about letting go when you're already dead? Don't be so hypocritical. You can't let go. As for me, I have no family, relatives, or friends. There's nothing I can't let go of. If you can't succeed, death is a release for me. Hu Meinyang's face shone with determination. There was no longer a trace of seduction. He looked straight into Chen Hao's eyes without avoiding his gaze. At this moment, Hu Meinyang was no longer a femme fatale who attracted thousands of geniuses. The loneliness in her eyes was not fake. It was not something that could be faked just because she wanted to. Old God, fucking get out here. Master, don't ask me. I don't understand at all. We can only take one step at a time. This woman isn't as simple as she seems on the surface. What she said shouldn't be false. If you don't succeed, she might really take you down with her. However, I feel that her goal is related to the Mortal Heart Sutra. Moreover, she should have a lot of difficulties and needs someone with an extremely high innate talent to be able to save her. Master, you are a monstrous genius of the human race that only appears once in a trillion years. If you can't do it, then she will never be able to free herself. In addition to her hatred for you, she will naturally choose to take you down with her. If you didn't mess around and help me escape earlier, how would we have gotten into this mess? Forget it. As Chen Hao communicated with Old God, he looked at Hu Meinyang. After looking at each other for half a minute, Chen Hao spat out two words, lunatic. Isn't the Mortal Heart Sutra something that only the innate Taoist embryo can cultivate? And that's a woman's martial art. I'm not the innate Taoist embryo, and I'm not a woman. That's just a rumor in the cultivation world. Because only the innate Taoist embryo can comprehend the Mortal Heart Sutra, it's taken for granted that only the innate Taoist embryo can cultivate it. Because it's the Misty Rain Tower's ultimate martial art, it's considered a woman's ultimate martial art. Let's begin. Without further ado, Chen Hao sat down cross-legged. In a flash, Hu Meinyang appeared in front of Chen Hao and sat cross-legged facing him. She stretched out her jade-like, beautiful hands. At the same time, a dazzling light shone from between her eyebrows and slowly extended toward the space between Chen Hao's eyebrows. When Chen Hao's hands came into contact with Hu Meinyang's hands, the light between Hu Meinyang's eyebrows connected with Chen Hao's eyebrows. Boom. Both of their minds shook at the same time. I've opened it. Don't worry, just come in. With the soul symbiosis contract, their souls were easily connected. Hu Meinyang opened up a space in her mind and communicated with divine thought. Hiss. At this point, Chen Hao no longer had any scruples. His mind entered the space in Hu Meinyang's mind. This woman is really abnormal. Even if I become a heaven celestial, I'm afraid I won't be stronger than her. Sensing the vast and boundless space within Hu Meinyang's mind, Chen Hao was astonished. Even though he had been confined to a tunnel by Hu Meinyang and was constantly venturing deeper, he was still able to sense the vastness of her mind through Hu Meinyang's divine sense seal. Moreover, it was filled with endless Dao laws, as if it was a complete world. In terms of the space in her mind, Chen Hao, who had just reached the later stage of the Earth celestial stage, had no advantage at all. Don't try to explore my memory. Do you think I care? You don't have much time. You'd better hurry up and comprehend it. Buzz. Chen Hao's mind was suddenly activated by Hu Meinyang's mind. Like lightning, he entered an independent space in her mind. In front of him, there were 13 white jade steels, which were as tall as mountains. Chapter 768. This is the Red Dust Heart Sutra? Chen Hao gazed at the 13 white jade crystal steels and asked with his divine sense. That's right. These 13 white jade crystal steels are both independent and integral. Each of them contains a sentence of the Red Dust Heart Sutra from the 1st to the 13th layer. Only by comprehending all 13 white jade crystal steels at the same time will you be able to grasp the mystery within and comprehend the Heart Sutra. The so-called Red Dust Heart Sutra is the 7 emotions and 6 desires of the mortal world, and has a total of 13 layers. It can only be understood but not explained. This is also the Tao mark left on these 13 white jade crystal steels by the founder of the Misty Rain Pavilion. I hope you can comprehend it. This is all I can tell you. After hearing Hu Meinyang's words, Chen Hao didn't ask any more questions but asked coldly, "What are you doing near my mind?" Since it's dual cultivation, it naturally has to be fair. Don't you think you should open up a space in your mind for me? I'm not trying to uncover any secrets. I'm just trying to maintain an absolute balance so that our soul channel will be more stable. This way, you won't be affected by any fluctuations in your comprehension. Are you still afraid? Afraid? What do I have to be afraid of? If you can do it, I, Chen Hao, can naturally do it. Go in. Qi. At the same time, Chen Hao used his spiritual will to bring Hu Meinyang's spiritual will into his own mind. At the same time, he opened up an independent space in his mind. However, it was a vast expanse of whiteness. There was nothing for Hu Meinyang to comprehend. By the way, you should know about the Red Dust Sword Dao, right? Chen Hao suddenly thought of this question and asked again. Of course I know. You. Don't tell me you've cultivated the Red Dust Sword Dao? Hu Meinyang asked in surprise. That's right. I understand. No wonder you have so many sword intents. Massacre, destruction, immortality. If that's the case, you'll have a higher chance of comprehending the Red Dust Heart Sutra. The Red Dust Sword Dao also originates from the 7 emotions and 6 desires of the mortal world, just like the Red Dust Heart Sutra. However, it's only a pure sword Dao, while the Red Dust Heart Sutra covers many fields. After mastery, it can evolve into various magical powers and laws. It's not something the secular sword Dao can compare to. If you can comprehend the secular Heart Sutra, your secular sword Dao will definitely improve. Hu Meinyang said excitedly. You know quite a lot about me. After Chen Hao finished speaking, he sat down cross-legged. His mind entered a state of emptiness in an instant. His pitch-black eyes bloomed with a bright crystal light as he looked at the 13 Dao marks that seemed to be casually drawn by his fingers. There was no pattern, nor were they runes or words. Hu Meinyang, who wanted to ask Chen Hao for the secular Sword Dao Heart Sutra, could only shut her mouth. Dao marks were the marks left behind by cultivators in the world. In the world of cultivation, this was the most common method of inheritance. Most of them were unintentionally left behind by senior experts, while a small number were intentionally left behind. There were countless places in the world of cultivation that were left unintentionally, such as the places where senior experts fought and cultivated in seclusion. A mountain peak that had been severed by a sword would still retain the might of that sword even after millions of years had passed. Sword marks, palm prints, finger holes, fist holes, and so on left behind by those who comprehended the Tao. As long as the cultivator's original state of mind, energy, and spirit were fused into it, they could be called Tao marks. However, this kind of Tao mark inheritance required an extremely high level of comprehension, because it could only be understood and not explained. There was no Heart Sutra, only aura. Different people had different views. How much and what one could comprehend from the remnant aura differed from person to person. The only similarity was the origin. Just like the 7 emotions and 6 desires, if they were compared to Tao marks, then the Red Dust Sword Tao and Red Dust Heart Sutra were comprehended by different cultivators in this Tao mark. The origin was the same, but the manifestation was different. Boom. Boom boom boom. Chun Hao's mind and eyes turned into strands of strands, merging into the countless oddly shaped and irregular Tao marks on the 13 white jade crystal tablets. His mind suddenly felt as if the mountains and rivers were collapsing and thousands of swords were ringing. The fine ripple-like Tao marks made Chun Hao's state of mind ripple like water, light and agile. The Tao marks that were as sharp as a sword splitting the sky made Chun Hao's state of mind cold and fierce, and filled with killing intent. The crisscrossing and strange Tao marks made Chun Hao feel as if he was besieged by rats, and his anger soared to the sky. The seemingly simple Tao marks brought about 1,000 changes in Chun Hao's state of mind in an instant. Even though Chun Hao was mentally prepared, he was still extremely shocked. This was only the Tao marks left behind by the founder of the Misty Rain Tower. But the power it released was as if it could control the ups and downs of the world. Chun Hao didn't have any room to resist at all. He only kept his mind clear for a moment, and then he felt as if he had fallen into a quagmire, completely merging into the infinite power of this mental transformation. Illusions appeared one after another. Sometimes he was overjoyed, sometimes he was furious, sometimes he was filled with endless sorrow. Sometimes he was filled with endless fear, and sometimes he was filled with love, happiness, anger, sorrow, fear, love, evil, desire, smell, touch. The 7 emotions and 6 desires circulated. In front of the 13 white jade crystal tablets, Chun Hao was crazy, as if he had gone mad, and made a fool of himself. Hu Meinyang's mind had been locked onto Chun Hao's every move since the beginning. He actually merged into the 7 emotions and 6 desires so quickly. It should be because he has laid the foundation for cultivating the Red Dust Sword Tao. Otherwise, it's impossible to be so fast. However, it's not that easy to comprehend the first level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra. I hope you can succeed. This is just the beginning. 5 days later. He actually entered the state of happiness so quickly? It's only been 5 days. And he has already jumped out of the flow of the 7 emotions and 6 desires. At this moment, Chun Hao had a smile on his face that came from the bottom of his heart. His joy was beyond words and came from the bottom of his heart. Even though he was only a manifestation of his divine sense, he had a boundless charm that affected all things in the world. Even Hu Meinyang, who was observing Chun Hao with her mind, revealed a smile at the corner of her mouth. 18 days later, Hu Meinyang was furious, like a volcano erupting, and she was unable to restrain her anger. In the blink of an eye, half a year had passed. Chun Hao had entered the state of lust. Hu Meinyang, whether it was her manifestation of her mind or her true body that was sitting cross-legged, touching Chun Hao's palms and connecting their brows, both of her cheeks were flushed, and she was filled with boundless lust. He's only immersed in the most primitive state of mind, and he can already affect me. His chances of success should be greater, right? Hu Meinyang muttered to herself. She had always been the one to influence others with the Red Dust Heart Sutra. However, at this moment, Chun Hao, who was immersed in comprehending the Red Dust Heart Sutra, was able to make her rise and fall with Chun Hao. Although this was the reason why she didn't resist, It also showed that Chen Hao was deeply immersed in the state. Once he jumped out, even if he couldn't comprehend the Red Dust Heart Sutra, the benefits would still be huge. Chapter 769. It's been half a year and I'm only short of 5 desires. There's enough time. Let's see if I can comprehend the mental cultivation method from the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Although Hu Meinyang's face was red, she still locked onto Chen Hao's aura. To her, this was also a form of cultivation. If I fail, I'd rather die, Hu Meinyang said resolutely in her heart. I am me. So what if you're the founder of the sect? I'm the master of my destiny. If I can't master it, I can only destroy it. Kill his mother. Big guy, do you have any shame? This is mine. Don't snatch it. Cough cough. Ling, you and Brother Yang have already killed so many people. Don't you feel embarrassed? Fine fine. I'll help sisters-in-law. Big guy, go rest somewhere else. We don't need your help. Brother Du Jing, your unorthodox method is too tiring. Let me help you. Big guy, I don't need. You have to help me even if you don't need it. Fuck. You're bullying me. I have no choice. You're the only one I can bully. Do you have the heart to watch me panic? Ha ha ha. Chi 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 rumble. Terrifying explosions followed by shrill screams could be heard. In just 10 minutes, the 1,000-man army was completely annihilated. Everyone could not even hope to escape. And their enemy was only 11 people. Chen Shui, Long Ting, Lung Ning Huan, Lung Ning Lu Panlong, Chen Ling, Li Yang, Du Jing, Helian Wuzi, Tan Tai Lian and Xia Yuyu. With the help of Helian Wuzi and the rest, Han Mei, Yun Wei, Pan Dong Lu, and Pan Dong Sheng had already entered the ancient Almighty's land of inheritance. The place where they were fighting was also the entrance of an ancient Almighty's land of inheritance. When Pan Long and the rest arrived, a group of hundreds of people had already been slaughtered. Only a dozen cultivators were left. Thank you for saving my life. You're welcome. Without you, Aotian would still kill these bastards. This is the mission set by our boss, Chen Hao, to fight for the human race. Don't steal my loot. Pan Long laughed wildly. However, halfway through his laughter, he suddenly cried out in alarm. With a chi sound, his body moved like lightning. He grabbed with both hands, and a terrifying spatial force collected the well-preserved magical equipment on the ground. Aotian, Chen Hao, let's go. Wait, these spiritual herbs are for you to heal your injuries. Chi. Chen Shui tossed out a few ancient spirit herbs that emitted a dense mist from afar, floating in front of over 10 heavily injured human cultivators. Thank you. Commander, if it weren't for proud heaven, we would have already fallen. That's right. It seems like we don't have to think about it anymore. Hundreds of people, hundreds of brothers and sisters, died just like that. The person who was called the captain felt his heart bleeding. Leader, don't be sad, life and death is up to fate. When you step into the primal mystic realm, it is fated to be a bloodbath. How many of you can truly return victorious? If only we had the strength of proud heaven's members. Don't even think about it. God of Slaughter Chen Hao has long been famous in the primal mystic realm. In less than half a year, the proud heaven that he formed has become a nightmare for the strange races. How many human cultivators did he kill? Countless. I believe that after stepping out of the primal mystic realm, proud heaven will become the most dazzling existence in the vast universe galaxy. It's a pity. God of Slaughter Chen Hao has not appeared since he was chased by Hu Meinyang. There's no news about him. There's also no news about Hu Meinyang. Whether he's dead or alive, he's destined to be the pride of the human race. The name of God of Slaughter Chen Hao will become a legend in the vast universe galaxy. I believe that God of Slaughter Chen Hao won't die so easily. He's only at the intermediate Earth celestial stage, and he's able to kill the top prodigies at the heavenly celestial stage under the 9 celestial ceiling restrictions. When the 9 celestial ceiling restrictions disappeared, other than Hu Meinyang and the 4 berserk dragons, the other top prodigies at the heavenly celestial stage were no match for him. How much luck did such a monstrous prodigy have? How many fortuitous encounters did he have? That Hu Meinyang is also a monstrous prodigy. It's hard to say. However, it's strange that there's no news about either of them. No matter who wins in the end, one of them should appear. With their strength, it's impossible for them to be unknown. Stop guessing. This is not a level that we can reach. Let's find a secluded place and heal our wounds. After we're healed, we'll cultivate in the outer area and wait to leave this holy land. Staying alive is more important. Proud Heaven. This was the name that Celestial Venerable Han Mei had suggested. The reason was simple. Chen Hao and the others had killed many prodigies from the human race. Once they stepped out of the primal mystic realm, they would definitely be hunted down by many top forces. No rules could protect them. However, if they could become the most dazzling existence in the vast universe galaxy and obtain unparalleled contribution points, they would be able to obtain the highest honor and protection from the Divine Temple. To put it bluntly, it was to make up for their mistakes. The slogan of fighting for the human race was purposely promoted. In the beginning, Pan Long, Chun Ling, and the others did not pay much attention to it. To them, this kind of empty slogan was meaningless. However, as the war between the 10 galaxies became more intense and fierce, this slogan became the glory of the human race. Even Pan Long and the others said it from the bottom of their hearts. There was no right or wrong, good or evil. There was only killing all the foreign races. This was a competition between galaxies. They were born to be on opposite sides. There was no one else. Du Jing, come and try it. This place should be suitable for you. After cleaning up the battlefield, Helian Wuxia looked at Du Jing and said, "Okay. Thank you, sister-in-law," Du Jing said excitedly. The endless cycle of reincarnation and the inherited memories gave Helian Wuxia an advantage that no one else had. She could go directly to the place of inheritance every time, and it was targeted at everyone's talent. In just half a year, this was already the 5th. Among the crowd, Pan Long, Chun Ling, and Li Yang had already lost the qualification to obtain the inheritance of other ancient mighty figures, because this was the true inheritance of the mantle and alms bowl, not the universal supreme art inheritance of the palaces and cities in the 9 restrictions of immortal sealing. Helian Wuxia, Tan Tai Lian, and Xia Yuyu also lost the chance to receive the legacy. In just an hour, the entrance of the place of inheritance shone with a milky white light door, and Du Jing disappeared in front of everyone. Chapter 770. After Du Jing entered the ancient land of inheritance, Helian Wuxia led the group and set off on their journey again. In this core area, there were a total of 1,000 ancient inheritances. Even though Helian Wuxia was familiar with the situation, she still had to race against time. Otherwise, others might beat her to it. As for Chen Hao, who had not received any news for half a year, the only thing they could do was wait. Perhaps, only when the inheritance of this holy land was completely obtained and the door of time and space opened would they be able to meet again. They firmly believed that Chen Hao would not have any problems. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, the 1-year deadline was about to arrive. The last day. My fate. Will I be destroyed in the end? Hu Meinyang's divine sense stared at Chen Hao, who was standing in the space of her mind like a sculpture. 2 months ago, Chen Hao had experienced every realm of the 7 emotions and 6 desires. However, Chen Hao did not move at all. Even his divine sense did not fluctuate. It was as if he had fallen into absolute silence, and his consciousness had stopped. Even now, there were still no signs of him waking up. The light shining from the 13 white jade steels had weakened to a very, very weak point. When the light disappeared, it meant that Chen Hao had failed. This was the time limit for any cultivator to comprehend the white jade steels. 1 year. If the time limit was not met, it meant that one did not have the qualifications to cultivate the Red Dust Heart Sutra. If Chen Hao failed, it meant that Hu Meinyang had failed. Moreover, there would be no chance for her to succeed again. And now the time limit was about to expire. Hiss. The 13 white jade steels finally retracted their last ray of light and turned gray. Huff. It was also at this time that Chen Hao slowly opened his eyes. He frowned and looked at Hu Meinyang. You. Go. Chen Hao was puzzled. The soul symbiotic contract will be lifted soon, and you will be free. You are the person with the greatest talent I have ever seen. If you don't die, then in the future within vast universe galaxy you should be able to bloom with an extremely dazzling light and become a true peak character. Hu Meinyang slowly stood up. She didn't look at Chen Hao, but rather at the endless void as she muttered to herself. Her figure was still that graceful and exquisite figure. However, at this moment, she no longer possessed that high and mighty brilliance that was the moon surrounded by the stars. Instead, she was filled with desolation, loneliness and lethargy. Unfortunately, you still didn't succeed. Then I'll take my leave. Chen Hao looked at Hu Meinyang's silhouette. After a slight hesitation, he cupped his fists and said. After he finished speaking, he stood up and walked away. Ha. Hu Meinyang suddenly laughed. Do you hate me that much? Don't you want to know why I did it? A hateful person is bound to have a pitiful side. Sorry, I really don't know anything about sex. Chen Hao stopped in his tracks and said without turning his head. A hateful person is bound to have a pitiful side. You don't want to know anything about me because you don't want to change your impression of me. If you could, you would still kill me without hesitation, right? You can think whatever you want, Chen Hao said. Then I want you to know. Buzz. Rumble. As they spoke, the soul symbiotic contract between the two of them reached the time limit and collapsed in their minds. Qi. At this moment, Hu Meinyang pointed a finger at Chen Hao and thousands of Dao laws instantly bound him. Fuck. What are you doing? Chen Hao said angrily. He had the opportunity to perish together with Hu Meinyang when the soul symbiotic contract was signed. However, Chen Hao was not an idiot. As Hu Meinyang had said, there were too many people he couldn't let go of. Hu Meinyang had calculated this and was not afraid at all. In fact, when Chen Hao escaped from the Red Dust Heart Sutra, he was already prepared. However, he did not expect Hu Meinyang, who thought he had failed, to let him go. This was beyond his expectations. However, what surprised him even more was that he had only said a few manly words and this woman actually went back on her words. Whoosh. Hu Meinyang did not say anything. However, she did something that made Chen Hao's eyes widen. She gently removed her Taoist robe and let it slide down. Under the pink bra, her twin peaks were towering. Her slender waist could be held with one hand. Her perky buttocks, which had been kicked by Chen Hao before, were plump and perky under the bra. Her skin was like congealed cream, smooth and delicate. Her two slender and well-proportioned jade legs were even more alluring. Buzz. At this moment, her beautiful face was as delicate as a peach blossom. Her crimson face carried the shyness of a young girl. Her eyes made the world darken as she looked straight at Chen Hao. This caused Chen Hao's mind to tremble. It was obvious that Hu Meinyang had pushed the Red Dust Heart Sutra to the extreme. In the past, Hu Meinyang could make countless geniuses prostrate themselves in worship, subdued by her peerless demeanor. But now, Hu Meinyang could absolutely make any man go crazy. Just by taking off her Taoist robe, her power was completely different. Fuck. Are you really going to use force on me? I, Chen Hao, swear that I won't do it. Chen Hao's bewildered eyes suddenly regained a trace of clarity, as Hu Meinyang approached him with light steps. Then he shouted angrily. You can still stay awake? Hu Meinyang was slightly surprised. Her face became even redder. This blush was definitely not something that the Red Dust Heart Sutra could fake. However, even though Chen Hao was familiar with the Red Dust Heart Sutra, he could not tell and would not tell. You're an entire realm apart. Your willpower is so strong. I don't believe. Hiss. Hu Meinyang's figure flashed and directly appeared in front of Chen Hao. Wearing only her underwear, she looked straight at Chen Hao. She was getting closer and closer. Standing on her tiptoes, the tip of her nose was almost touching Chen Hao's nose. Her delicate lips were also about to touch. At this moment, Chen Hao's senses were uncontrollably sharp to the extreme. An alluring fragrance madly attacked his nostrils. Hu Meinyang stretched out her jade-like, soft and boneless hand and directly unbuttoned Chen Hao's Taoist robe. Hu Meinyang's hair touched Chen Hao's face. Her slightly disordered breathing and heartbeat ravaged Chen Hao's every nerve. Coupled with the effect of the Red Dust Heart Sutra, Chen Hao fell into absolute torment. Bitch, do you still know what shame is? You can have my body, but you can't have my heart, Chen Hao said gloomily. He even had the urge to vomit blood. Damn, this scene should be reversed. But he was a man, and he was actually being molested by a woman without any room to resist. You can't have my body, and you can't have my heart, Hu Meinyang whispered into Chen Hao's ear. However, this was the first time she had done so, so the fragrance that came out of her mouth was intermittent and trembling. Bitch, stop, I've already. Just as Chen Hao was about to lay his cards on the table, his eyes widened. Hu Meinyang suddenly sealed his mouth with her delicate lips. At the same time, a stream of energy also directly imprisoned Chen Hao's mouth. Chapter 771. Boom. When Hu Meinyang's Red Dust Heart Sutra made direct contact with his body, Chen Hao felt as though his mind was about to explode. Flames of lust rose within him, but his mind remained clear-headed. Chen Hao was certain that if he had not experienced the Red Dust Heart Sutra for a year, perhaps he would have already fallen for her. However, his current state was even more painful than falling for her. He was not Lu Xiaohui, a hot-blooded young man. How could he not have a reaction? However, as a man, being forced by a woman was something that Chen Hao could not accept no matter what. This was absolutely a disgrace, a disgrace. If people knew that he, Chen Hao, had been forced to be molested, where would he put his face and dignity? However, there was nothing he could do now. He could not even bite Hu Meinyang because this woman had used her powerful cultivation at the intermediate heavenly celestial stage to completely imprison him and completely cut off his control over his body. Damn it, it seems like this woman is really going to rape me. If anything, it should be me raping her. Fuck. Feeling Hu Meinyang's proud twin peaks pressing against his chest, feeling the obvious trembling and inexperienced forceful kiss, Chen Hao had no choice but to admit it. Since he couldn't resist, he might as well close his eyes and enjoy it. No. There's still one last way. Having lost control of his body, Chen Hao, who had originally planned to lay his cards on the table, did not dare to hesitate anymore. This woman was a lunatic who did not play by the rules at all. Every time Chen Hao miscalculated, she would miscalculate. In a year's time, Chen Hao had actually comprehended the first layer of the Red Dust Heart Sutra, but until the end he didn't reveal it. It was just to make Hu Meinyang despair. After all, Hu Meinyang's words had already revealed that if he couldn't succeed, she would be finished. Chen Hao was forced to do so, so naturally, he would not let her be too happy. However, he did not expect that the vicious Hu Meinyang would let him go after he failed. However, when he was about to leave, Hu Meinyang's attitude changed because of him. Hiss. Chen Hao immediately focused his mind and integrated it into his soul abode. At the same time, he activated the first level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra. He believed that since Hu Meinyang had used her cultivation at the middle stage of Heaven Celestial to control and imprison his body, she would naturally be able to sense the fluctuation of his soul. As long as she could sense that he had comprehended the Red Dust Heart Sutra, then she might be able to stop her current actions. Sure enough, when Chen Hao's soul released the faint aura of the first stage of the Red Dust Heart Sutra, Hu Meinyang, who had been conflicted but had hardened her heart, suddenly trembled and her eyes blossomed with 2 rays of crystal light. Then Hu Meinyang abruptly retreated 2 meters. Looking at Chen Hao in surprise, she said, You've comprehended the first level of the Secular World Sutra? Fuck. Surprise my ass. So what if you've comprehended it? Chen Hao instantly regained half of his freedom and was able to speak, but he was still angry. Why didn't you say so earlier? You shut my mouth. What do you want me to say? Hiss. Hu Meinyang's face was flushed red. She suddenly put on her Taoist robe. At the same time, she used her magical power to put on Chen Hao's Taoist robe and said, Don't be so arrogant. It's still very easy for me to kill you now. If you don't want to die, then according to our agreement, we'll proceed to the second step. Chen Hao wanted to say something, but this time he controlled his mouth and said, Say it. Start dual cultivation with me and break through the 9th level of the Secular World Sutra. I'm now at the 9th level. With me dual cultivation with you, you'll be able to cultivate to the 9th level in a few years. Once you break through to the 10th level, you'll have succeeded in the second step. This is a good thing for you. Although I really don't want to understand you, now I want to know what you're going to do. I'm sorry when I wanted to say it, you didn't want to listen. Now, since you've comprehended the secular world sutra, there's no need for me to tell you. You know, a hateful person must have a pitiful side. I don't need your pity. Bitch. Don't call me bitch again. Otherwise, I'll kill you immediately. I mean what I say. I can only tell you that what happened just now was the first time in my life. Although I forced you, I'm not harming you. At most, I can't let her continue to be Hu Meinyang, or let others become Hu Meinyang again. It's a good thing for you. It's up to you to believe it or not. Hu Meinyang's face was like a peach blossom, but she looked straight at Chen Hao and said calmly, "We need to sign a new soul contract, this time. 1,000 years. 1,500 years. You don't need 10,000 years? If you're in danger, do you think I'll have to save you? 1,500 years is about the length of time in the primitive mystic realm. Once we step out of the primitive mystic realm, we'll be able to get rid of it immediately. But 10,000 years seems safer. Stop dreaming. 10 years. 20,000 years. 20 years. 30,000 years. Fuck. 1,500 years it is. When the time comes, you're welcome to kill me. Of course, I'll rape you before killing you." Chen Hao was fuming as he stared at Hu Meinyang. However, Hu Meinyang's face was already red, and she didn't say anything. She directly took out the soul imprint, which made Chen Hao feel like he was punching empty air. "I hope you can help me reach the 10th level. If you can't, I won't let you die with me, but I'll do what I just did. Although it's a good thing for you, it'll be the shame of your life, right?" By a woman. After the soul contract was completed, Hu Meinyang looked at the furious Chen Hao and reminded him. Such a state was not suitable for dual cultivation. You won't have the chance. Let's begin. That's what I want to see the most. Papa. Their palms met again. Chen Hao, who had no choice, instantly threw away all distracting thoughts and entered an ethereal state. Their eyes looked straight at each other, and their souls were connected. If you're a man, don't peek at my memories. I have my pride and my perseverance. This time, your soul must be integrated into the Red Dust Heart Sutra, without any distractions. You must adapt to my rhythm and be guided by me. Don't talk about men and women. At most, we're the same. If you dare to look at me, I won't let you go. Then let's begin. I'll follow you first and see how you've comprehended it. Then you can follow me. The two of them spoke through telepathy. After speaking, they activated the first level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra at the same time. The reason why it was said to be similar was because each of them had their own comprehension. There was no complete mental cultivation method, and it differed from person to person. In an instant, Chen Hao was integrated into the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Hu Meinyang, who needed to observe Chen Hao's comprehension, was integrated into Chen Hao's mind. Chapter 772. Rage. Kill. Boom. Chen Hao, who had been suppressing his anger, directly entered the rage state. His powerful soul force, under Chen Hao's urging, suddenly released a mysterious fluctuation, causing Hu Meinyang to instantly enter a state of uncontrollable rage along with Chen Hao's mood. If Hu Meinyang and Chen Hao's souls weren't connected, and if she didn't merge into Chen Hao's mind, she would only follow Chen Hao's rage and be infected with a trace of rage. But now, she had merged into the specially created illusion by Chen Hao. What made Hu Meinyang frown was that in the illusion, she also appeared. The boundless rage of Chen Hao crazily chased and killed. You only know how to be satisfied here. Hu Meinyang's soul force fluctuated as she transmitted her voice. Ha ha ha. After a round of killing, Chen Hao cut off Hu Meinyang's head with a sword and stomped it with his foot. He laughed heartily in his mind, ignoring Hu Meinyang's ridicule, and directly entered the pleasure state. This time, Hu Meinyang frowned as she watched. Her breasts were heaving up and down. Obviously, it was beyond her tolerance. She had long been aware of Chen Hao's killing intent and hatred towards her, but she didn't expect it to be to such an extent. In the pleasure state, she was also but she was casually trampled on by Chen Hao. Punches and kicks, insults and ridicule, and so on. Even if she knew that Chen Hao was venting, Hu Meinyang was still a little angry, but she still endured it. When Chen Hao entered the lust state, Hu Meinyang was finally fuming with anger and jumped out of Chen Hao's soul. Otherwise, she was afraid that she really couldn't help but attack Chen Hao. Bastard! Shameless! Hu Meinyang's face flushed red. Her soul-piercing eyes stared fiercely at Chen Hao, angrily cursing in her heart. In the lust state, Chen Hao made her crawl at his feet and did all kinds of obscene actions. She was a slut. Why can't you bear it? You're at the 9th level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra. At this time, Chen Hao's provocative voice sounded in her soul force. You. Ah. Hu Meinyang was suddenly startled. I've been influenced by you so much? This is just an illusion. I'm forcefully condensing it. If it's an illusion from the heart, I'm afraid you'll get lost, right? Chen Hao said. Don't waste time. You have to come in order to fully grasp my comprehension. So be it. Do you think I'm afraid of you? Hu Meinyang said. Wait for me to guide you, you'll suffer. I'm looking forward to it. Chen Hao said disdainfully. Finally, he felt a little elated. Even though it was just a fantasy, it was still a relief to be able to make this woman so angry. In the blink of an eye, 3 years had passed. At this moment, the two people who were sitting cross-legged with their palms touching each other exuded a mysterious aura. Under the influence of Hu Meinyang, even Chen Hao's body was surrounded by endless rules of the Great Path. Moreover, it formed a world of its own, independent of Hu Meinyang. Although it was far inferior to Hu Meinyang's, it was still extremely shocking for Chen Hao, who did not have an innate Taoist embryo. The two of them looked at each other with their soul-piercing eyes. There was no sadness or joy in their eyes. They were ethereal and detached. They had temporarily put down the hatred in their hearts and were completely immersed in the mystery of the Red Dust Heart Sutra. 5 years. 10 years. 20 years. Time flowed like water. The two of them had no concept of time and were detached from the mortal world. At times, Hu Meinyang would guide and at times, Chen Hao would take the initiative. Every time Chen Hao broke through a level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra, Hu Meinyang would take the lead and guide. Every time their understanding was completely controlled by each other and truly integrated, Hu Meinyang would dominate Chen Hao to break through to the next level. Over the past 20 years, Hu Meinyang's confidence had grown. Chen Hao's talent and perception had shocked her more and more. Although she had been helping Chen Hao make breakthroughs in his cultivation, she had been able to gain unexpected benefits from Chen Hao's unique comprehension of each level. She was certain that once she stepped into the 7th level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra, as long as she used the 7th level, she would be stronger than the 9th level. And now they had both stepped into the 9th level. Perfect. Chen Hao, my highest level is the 9th level. To break through to the 10th level, we have to fully comprehend it. This is also the most crucial step. After stepping into the 10th level, you have to do something for me and fulfill our agreement. At that time, you can leave. Speak. Chen Hao said directly. Although Chen Hao didn't want to admit it, during the 20 years of dual cultivation, apart from the illusions that Hu Meinyang had deliberately created to take revenge on him, he also discovered that Hu Meinyang wasn't the venomous woman that he had imagined her to be. Although all kinds of illusions could confuse and infect all living things, they were always neutral and peaceful, full of overwhelming righteousness. This was the most fundamental thing of a person, and it was definitely not something that an evil person could condense. In addition, Chen Hao had long guessed that Hu Meinyang might be under the control of the Red Dust Heart Sutra, and gradually he did not hate this woman as much. Of course, it was just that he did not hate her that much. You and I may be in danger, Hu Meinyang said after a slight pause. Do I have a choice? Chen Hao said disdainfully. Yes, you can choose not to help me. And then perish with me? Stop being a hypocrite and speak. Is it fun to speak against your conscience? After 20 years, don't you know what kind of person I, Hu Meinyang, am? No matter who you are, I can say this for everything you did to me. What did I do to you? The Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit Core is a treasure of heaven and earth. It is especially important to me. Why can't I take it? If I couldn't, I would have run away. You could have hit me anywhere, but you just had to kick me there. After that, I came to find you. When did I really kill you? What are you talking about? Other than the last time, when did you have the ability to kill me? You have also cultivated the Red Dust Heart Sutra to the 9th level, let alone the 9th level. Even if it was the 7th level, if I really wanted to do anything, do you think you could escape? I dare not say that I can mesmerize everyone in the world, but I have the ability to make all the cultivators here lose themselves and become my men of sacrifice. That's because you have scruples about your identity. You still have to maintain the image of a saintess. Saintess my ass. Hu Meinyang suddenly swore like Chen Hao. What image does a saintess who is almost destined to lose herself talk about? You said that you wanted to rape me, right? I'm a man. Do you know how humiliating that is? That's because you don't even want to hear the complaints of a dying man before he dies. Even if I die, I have to leave behind the secrets that I know. Since you want to do that, I can only wrong myself and fulfill your wish. Chapter 773. At this moment, Hu Meinyang's eyes sparkled as if she was too emotional. However, she quickly regained her composure and looked directly at Chen Hao. You said so much. Could it be that you've forgiven me? Forgive my ass. Haha. Damn it, why are you laughing? I like to laugh. What does that have to do with you? Hu Meinyang cursed as well, not caring that her words were damaging her image. Speak. Chen Hao glared at the woman. He was speechless. You should have seen the rune shining on my body when we went through the heavenly punishment, right? Hu Meinyang cut to the chase. I saw it. Using your body as a cauldron. Only you could do that. Shouldn't the best way for you be to refine me and the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit into your body? At that time, you wanted to be strong. Forget it, you can continue. Chen Hao thought of his conjecture and said. However, he stopped halfway. Since Hu Meinyang had mentioned the rune, perhaps it was what she meant when she said that she was no longer the root of her existence. Before the rune appeared on my body, I only had one goal, and that was to snatch the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit from you. Only the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit could help me escape my fate. However, it appeared when I resisted the heavenly punishment. At that time, I realized that even if I obtained the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit, it would only be a gift to someone else. Instead, I would end up in an irreversible situation. So, I changed my mind. Your talent is the strongest I've ever seen. And you also have the Tao Manifestation Immortal Fruit. This could be my only chance at survival. However, between us, I can only force you. Get to the point. Chen Hao said impatiently. That rune is the devil fetus in the 13 white jade crystal tablets. Devil fetus? What devil fetus? An existence that wants to devour your soul and take over your body? Yes. You should know that no cultivator can truly live forever. Possession and reincarnation are two ways of living, but they are not limitless. At a certain point, you will eventually walk towards death. However, when the founder of the Misty Rain Tower was about to die, he sealed his evil thoughts on the 13 white jade tablets of the Red Dust Sutra as a training object for his disciples. But the founder didn't expect that no disciple in the Misty Rain Tower could cultivate the Red Dust Sutra. Therefore, after the evil thoughts were born, no one killed them. Gradually, it gave birth to its own intelligence. Until the Holy Virgin of the previous generation of the Misty Rain Tower with the innate Taoist embryo appeared, she should have discovered this secret. Unfortunately, she died unexpectedly because of emotional problems. She didn't leave behind any words. So I wasn't prepared for it. When I reached the peak of the late stage of the Earth's celestial stage, it suddenly wanted to possess me, and I discovered it. Fortunately, it was too impatient and exposed itself before it matured. But even if I wanted to kill it, I couldn't do it. Its cultivation level is higher than mine. So you thought of dual cultivation and borrowed my strength? Yes. Previously, in the Holy Temple and the vast universe galaxy, I made friends with the top geniuses of the vast universe galaxy in order to find someone who could help me. Unfortunately, none of them caught my eye. Tisk tsk, do you want to find someone to help you or a cultivation partner? Previously, when I asked for help, I asked my guardian for help. The Holy Virgin of the Misty Rain Tower doesn't have a cultivation partner. Of course, I want to find someone who can help me. Oh, do you mean you want to find me? You are not qualified. I suppressed it with my strength, and you just wanted to live. Fuck. Although I forced you, it didn't harm you. What we are going to do next, although it is dangerous, it will also benefit you a lot. Moreover, I will compensate you. Hu Meinyang said, what we are going to do next is to work together to comprehend the 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra. During this period, we must break the seal formed by the devil fetus before we can comprehend it. After we succeed, we will seize the opportunity to break into the 13 white jade tablets and kill the devil fetus. If we succeed, I will teach you every level of the Red Dust Sutra that I comprehend. This is my compensation? Without you, I can still comprehend it, can't I? It's just a matter of time. Chen Hao said. You are wrong. You have already comprehended the first level. Do you think you can comprehend the second level by yourself? Maybe you can. However, without the 13 pagoda tablets, it will be extremely difficult. Unless you experience the world of mortals, and experience the 7 emotions and 6 desires, you will not be able to comprehend it without tens of thousands of years. Let's begin. Chen Hao did not say anything else. In an instant, the 13 pagoda tablets appeared in Hu Meinyang's mind again. This time, Chen Hao and Hu Meinyang's divine will manifested as one. They pushed the Red Dust Sutra to the limit and merged it with the Tao marks on the 13 white jade tablets. The seal left by the devil fetus blocks the 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra. The first thing we need to do is lock onto it. Hiss. The two of them were as one, shuttling back and forth in the white jade steel to capture any abnormalities. What surprised Chen Hao was that every time the two of them were about to lock onto it, a wisp of extremely cunning energy would suddenly escape, cutting off the flow of the 10th layer of the white jade steel. Follow the tracks and force it to the edge of the 11th level. It has no way to escape. It has only comprehended the 10th level. Hu Meinyang said in her mind. Humph. Little girl. You dare to join forces with outsiders to deceive your master? Do you really think the two of you can kill me? Suddenly, a voice that was pleasant to the ear like celestial music resounded out. And even Chen Hao felt his heart tremble when he heard it. My master has already passed away. You are just a devil fetus. How dare you call yourself my master? Hu Meinyang said coldly. You don't know what's good for you. Being the continuation of my life is the best ending for you. In the future, you will be able to look down on the world and be invincible. Since you want to die, don't blame me. The melodious voice rang out again. Suddenly it continued. Little brother, my junior disciple wants to deceive his master. Why are you helping him? Moreover, he forced you and did not give you any benefits. If you join forces with me now, I can easily take over your body and be reborn. At that time, I will let you be my guardian. This body is the primordial yin body of the innate Taoist fetus. If you obtain it, you will definitely reap great benefits. Moreover, I have all kinds of divine powers and ultimate skills that can guarantee that you will become stronger. Chen Hao, don't be tempted by her. Sounds good. The conditions are very generous. Maybe I should think about it. Hu Meinyang was angered by Chen Hao's words. Chapter 774. Little brother, you're a wise man indeed. Remove the fusion with her now and help me succeed. Later, I'll give you my primordial yin. As long as you're willing, I can accompany you anytime. Shameless. Chen Hao, if you listen to it, you won't even know how you died. Don't forget that we have a symbiotic soul contract. Hu Meinyang said angrily when she sensed Chen Hao's mental fluctuations. Even she didn't expect the demon fetus to be so cunning. Little brother, don't be afraid. After I take over her body, her soul won't be destroyed. It won't affect you. Come on, let's get started. You'll be able to obtain the primordial een of this connate Taoist fetus and satisfy all your desires. Come on. Come on. Right away, I'll help you right away. Don't tempt me, your offer is very tempting. Chen Hao wasn't affected by the demon fetus' seductive voice. Hu Meinyang, do you have anything to say? Actually, you still have an advantage. No. If you want to do it, then do it. I, Hu Meinyang, can only give you that condition. Then don't blame me. Chen Hao thought that he could use this opportunity to blackmail the demon fetus, but Hu Meinyang, who was obviously nervous, refused to compromise. Moreover, she didn't put up any defenses and fused with Chen Hao from beginning to end. Therefore, as soon as Chen Hao finished speaking, Hu Meinyang pushed herself to the limit and fused with Chen Hao. Since the two of them were already one, Chen Hao only needed to use his mind for Hu Meinyang to know what Chen Hao's decision was. The dazzling sword light instantly blossomed with a terrifying destructive sword intent. It condensed the profound energy of 7 emotions and 6 desires from Hu Meinyang and Chen Hao's Red Dust Heart Sutra. With Chen Hao as the main character, it was a sword of destruction. You're courting death. Rumble. The devil fetus didn't expect that Chen Hao, who seemed to be on its side, would suddenly join forces with Hu Meinyang. Unable to restrain its anger, it immediately used the 10th level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra to condense a powerful ultimate skill, and faced the two of them head-on. The Tao marks of the 13 white jade crystal steels were all under its control. Chen Hao, you're the main attacker. I'll stop it from controlling the steel. Hu Meinyang's attention was divided by more than half. In an instant, the devil fetus' terrifying attack was weakened by several times. Good. Old bitch. I'll let you be my stepping stone for the secular sword Tao. In a battle of pure soul and mind, Chen Hao wasn't shackled by his cultivation base. At this moment, he had completely integrated the 20 years he had spent cultivating the Red Dust Heart Sutra into his Red Dust Sword Tao. Destruction, deathless slaughter, rivers and mountains, all kinds of sword lights crisscrossed, displaying unimaginable power under the essence of the solitary sword art. How is this possible? At this moment, both Hu Meinyang and the devil fetus were shocked. No one had expected Chen Hao to be so fierce. He had an overwhelming advantage. Hu Meinyang, let her control a little more of the white jade crystal steel's power. Otherwise, she won't even be qualified to be my stepping stone. Are you sure? Nonsense. Don't worry. I guarantee that she won't be able to cause any trouble. Chen Hao said. All right then, be careful. It's the manifestation of the patriarch's evil thoughts and is extremely cunning. It won't be that simple. It's easy to suppress it, but difficult to kill it. Hu Meinyang said. That's for you. Do as I say. Chen Hao said arrogantly. Seeing how confident Chen Hao was, Hu Meinyang didn't hesitate anymore. Moreover, at this moment, it was indeed very difficult for her to compete with the devil fetus for the power of the 13 white jade crystal steels. Boom. Boom. As Hu Meinyang relaxed, the devil fetus power suddenly increased and he fought Chen Hao. Red Dust Heart Sutra and Red Dust Sword principle complement each other. If I were to apply the profundity of the soul healing technique to it, I would definitely be able to unleash an even greater power. This devil fetus is no doubt the best opponent. Chen Hao's battle intent rose wildly. The killing intent, anger, and depression that Hu Meinyang had suppressed for 20 years were all released. It was extremely terrifying. Whether it was the Red Dust Sword Principle or the Red Dust Heart Sutra, the source of power was the 7 emotions and 6 desires that were unique to humans. This power was extremely mysterious. There was no clear boundary between soul power, physical body, and true origin. Once it was activated, it could cause a huge increase in power. The stronger the emotion, the stronger the increase. Even in the secular world, there were occasionally people who could erupt with this power. There were many examples in the real world. A weak mother lifting a car that weighed several tons, rescuing her son from under the car, and so on. These were all extraordinary powers released by the 7 emotions and 6 desires. What Chen Hao wanted to do now was to use the soul power involved in the soul healing technique, and combine it with the 7 emotions and 6 desires. Enter the mortal world. Control the mortal world. and finally transcend it. In one thought, the 7 emotions and 6 desires were transformed. Damn it, it's so difficult to deal with. Chen Hao had the absolute advantage and bombarded the devil fetus countless times. However, this evil thought was invisible and formless. Although it was getting weaker and weaker, it could always reform. Let's see how long you can last. Chen Hao's attacks became fiercer. Hiss! While Chen Hao was fighting the devil fetus crazily, Hu Meinyang became more and more relaxed. Every time Chen Hao destroyed the devil fetus, Hu Meinyang's mind became stronger. At this moment, Hu Meinyang had completely given up the control of the 13 white jade crystal tablets with the devil fetus. She was completely immersed in devouring and refining the evil thought of the devil fetus that Chen Hao had destroyed. She was becoming stronger and stronger. Ah! The devil fetus screamed again, but it was reborn in an instant. Little brother, if you kill me, you will regret it. The Red Dust Heart Sutra has 13 levels. If deceiving people with your lies, you can die now. Chi! Hu Meinyang suddenly shouted coldly. The majestic and terrifying energy suddenly turned into an endless black vortex. In an instant, it sucked in the weakened devil fetus. Fuck. What do you mean? Chen Hao was instantly enraged. I'm helping you, of course. Alright. Chen Hao, thank you very much. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't have been able to kill this devil fetus. Now, it only has less than 1/10 of its power left. I have temporarily suppressed it. However, to completely destroy it, I need your help to refine it. Hu Meinyang said in Chen Hao's mind. Hu Meinyang, don't you think you've crossed the line? You mean I've devoured its power? Nonsense. I've worked so hard to kill it, but you've devoured all its power. Can you be any more shameless? I want to use it to train myself. At the last moment, you're going to make a move? Are you afraid that it will confuse me? Or are you afraid that it will reveal your secret? Ah, Chen Hao, you think too much. We have a deal. If you help me kill it, I will teach you how much I understand in the future. I didn't say that I will share its power with you. Hu Meinyang said. Chapter 775. Besides, this belongs to me in the first place. You have to be clear about this. As for attacking now, that's because it's already very weak and won't be of much use to you. Moreover, no matter how many times you kill it, it will condense together and not much energy will be released. This is the mark of the devil fetus. Only by tempering your mind can you truly destroy it. Damn it, people like you change their faces faster than flipping a book. Refine it yourself. I won't accompany you, Chen Hao said angrily. Help me one last time. Otherwise, I won't be able to refine it in a short period of time. In the end, it might even turn the tables. At that time, I won't be the only one dying. You have to think carefully. Hu Meinyang threatened. Master, I've checked everything. This woman is not a good person. You've been played. Suddenly, Old God's voice sounded in Chen Hao's mind. In the past 20 years, Chen Hao's impression of Hu Meinyang had improved. However, this did not mean that Chen Hao was truly at ease. On the contrary, Hu Meinyang, who was completely unfathomable, made Chen Hao feel uneasy. Chen Hao had long wanted to check Hu Meinyang's memories, but Hu Meinyang was extremely cautious. At all times, she would leave a trace of her mind to protect Chen Hao's sole residence. The more Hu Meinyang acted like this, the more suspicious Chen Hao became. During the decisive battle with the devil fetus, Chen Hao finally seized the opportunity. Hu Meinyang, who had no other thoughts, temporarily merged all her mind into her own space to refine the energy of the devil fetus. Moreover, she probably thought that Chen Hao could not spare any energy, which was why she did this. In fact, Chen Hao could not spare any energy, but Old God took advantage of this opportunity to enter. What's going on? The devil fetus is indeed the manifestation of the founder's evil thoughts. It was also left behind by the founder to train his disciples. However, more importantly, it sealed the Heart Sutra after the 10th level of the Red Dust Heart Sutra. It's true that the devil fetus wanted to possess Hu Meinyang, but it couldn't. As long as Hu Meinyang continued to refine it, the devil fetus would never be able to truly mature. This is because its source of power comes from the 13 white jade crystal tablets. This is something that Hu Meinyang can control. Moreover, the founder left a handwritten message, predicting the possibility of the devil fetus being born from evil thoughts, and how to deal with it. Unable to explain it clearly, Old God shared the information he had found with Chen Hao. After that, Chen Hao clearly understood what was going on, and he forcefully restrained his killing intent. Okay, I'll help you one last time. Tell me, how do you want me to help you refine it? In Hu Meinyang's mind, Chen Hao, who had taken the form of his divine sense, seemed to be extremely depressed as he spoke. This devil fetus imprint is the manifestation of the evil thoughts of the founder of the Misty Rain Tower. It can be said that it's an immortal existence. If we want to completely erase it, we have to merge our soul palaces and combine our soul imprints to refine it. This time, we'll rely on our own abilities. Whoever can refine the most will get it. With the devil fetus imprint, our soul imprints will also receive amazing benefits. Not to mention the improvement of our cultivation talent. The unique skills and memories of the Misty Rain Tower's inheritance in it will be a great fortune. You mean my soul must completely leave my body and enter your mind? That's right. Why? Are you afraid? Nonsense. Do you think I'm an idiot? Once my soul enters your mind, you can do whatever you want to me. Are you still a man? Don't you know what I've been like for the past 20 years? If I want to kill you, I can do it just by raising my hand. Why go through so much trouble? Hu Meinyang said coldly. If it weren't for the mysterious existence of the old god, who had quietly probed into Hu Meinyang's memories, Chen Hao would never have thought that Hu Meinyang was lying. Whether it was her expression, acting skills, or analysis based on common sense, Hu Meinyang was right. Even if she wanted to use Chen Hao to deal with the devil fetus, if she wanted to kill him, she wouldn't have signed a 1,500-year soul symbiosis contract. On the surface, she didn't seem to have any intention of harming Chen Hao. Damn it. Meeting a woman like you, this old man must have had 8 lifetimes of bad luck. Let's begin. Wait. Let's both recover to our peak condition first. You've consumed a lot of energy just now. You can't let your guard down. I also need to recover. Up to you. As Chen Hao spoke, his mind jumped out of Hu Meinyang's mind. Their minds were connected, but they were cut off at the same time. They slowly closed their eyes and immersed themselves in their own cultivation. Master, this woman's soul and willpower aren't any weaker than yours. She's 100 times more vicious and cunning than you. Do you really want to go in? Do I have a choice? If I don't go in, with the soul symbiosis contract, although she won't dare to kill me, she can definitely control me. She can even seal me. When she grows to a certain level, she'll enter my mind directly. At that time, it'll be worse. So, although entering her mind now is a little passive, it's still better than that. That's true. Since it's unavoidable, then, Master, let me enter the core of your soul residence first. No need. Master, say no more. If I can't even deal with a woman, how can I reach the peak of martial arts? Only by killing her with my true strength can I be at ease. All right. But Master, you have to be careful. This woman is full of tricks. She says she's resting now, but she's definitely preparing to deal with you. She knows how strong Master's soul and willpower are. I'm afraid she won't fight you head-on. Okay. Hiss. Hu Meinyang's body was surrounded by laws and thousands of great Daos. In the depths of her soul residence, vast and pure energy revolved around the devil fetus and crazily devoured it. Her so-called resting to her peak state was nothing more than refining the devil fetus in advance. Against Chen Hao, due to her advantage in cultivation, she indeed had the complete initiative. However, against Chen Hao's soul and willpower, especially the sword Dao that Chen Hao had displayed when dealing with the devil fetus, she didn't dare to let her guard down. If she was confident in something, she had to maximize her chances and ensure that nothing would go wrong. After refining the devil fetus's imprint, I'll be stronger. Then I'll condense a fake devil fetus and set it up as a trap. I'll fight him head-on while I attack from behind. No matter how strong his soul is, he'll be completely under my control. First, I'll take his soul residence and remove the soul symbiosis contract. Then, I'll be able to destroy him. The Tao manifestation, immortal fruit core, and countless treasures will be mine. I'll also be able to obtain his memories. Then, I'll refine his entire body into mine. I'm really looking forward to how strong I'll be at that time. This kid must have some doubts, but I don't have any flaws. Even if he did, he wouldn't have a choice. Chapter 776. Still not done. 4 hours later, Chen Hao asked impatiently, "Don't worry, I might be able to comprehend the 10th tier. Wait for me and don't disturb me. I'll call you when I'm done." Hu Meinyang said. Refining the devil fetus was not something that could be done in a short period of time. Hu Meinyang had already thought of a reason. After receiving Hu Meinyang's reply, Chen Hao guessed what Hu Meinyang wanted to do. He did not say anything else and instead immersed himself in comprehending the fusion of the secular sword principle, secular heart sutra, and soul healing technique. 3 days later, Hu Meinyang had finally finished refining the devil fetus. Chen Hao did not say anything and directly sent his soul into Hu Meinyang's mind. "I've already absorbed the devil fetus into my soul residence. Come in and use your soul imprint to refine it with me. I believe it will only take a few hours to kill it." "Hu Meinyang, why do I feel like you're going to do something to me? I have 100 ways to control you. Why do I have to use this?" "You're right. Let's merge our souls first. Only then can we act in unison," Chen Hao said. "There's no need. I've said it before. This time, we'll rely on our own abilities to refine the devil fetus's imprint. Whoever refines more will get more. As long as the two of us work together, it won't be able to resist us. There's no need to merge our souls. Come in," Hu Meinyang said calmly. "All right. Let me remind you, although your soul power is not bad, it's just SOSO to me. If you really want to do something, don't blame me for fighting to the death," Chen Hao said arrogantly. "Don't worry. You're so long-winded. You're not a man at all," Hu Meinyang said. In her heart she thought, "Idiot, after refining the devil fetus's power, my soul power is only half of what it used to be. Do you really think you can compete with me?" The other half of Hu Meinyang's soul power had already been refined into a fake devil embryo. Once Chen Hao entered her soul palace and started to refine the devil fetus, she would launch a pincer attack. She would control and seal Chen Hao. Then, she would have no choice but to swallow Chen Hao's soul energy bit by bit. Eventually, she would have complete control over Chen Hao, cancel the contract and kill him. Chen Hao didn't hesitate and directly stepped into Hu Meinyang's soul palace. "You first, Qi. Hu Meinyang had just opened her mouth to bait Chen Hao into starting, but she hadn't expected that Chen Hao would directly attack. What shocked her even more was that Chen Hao wasn't tempering himself. Instead, he was using his most berserk spiritual strength to attack the devil fetus. "Chen Hao, what are you doing? I asked you to refine it, not kill it. I don't care about the energy of the devil fetus imprint. I'll give it all to you. I'll kill it, and you can refine it yourself. The sooner you finish refining it, the sooner we can part ways." Rumble. A terrifying soul explosion suddenly sounded. "How dare you not listen to me?" Hu Meinyang said angrily. Seal. Qi. Boundless soul power formed a terrifying rune and bloomed from Hu Meinyang's soul imprint. It covered the sky and covered the earth as it enveloped Chen Hao. Their souls intertwined in an instant. Neither Chen Hao nor Hu Meinyang objected to this, because neither of them wanted the other to explode their soul imprint and die together. "Bitch. Do you really think I don't know what you're doing? What do you mean? If you act recklessly again, I'll kill you immediately. Do as I say. Use the power of the soul imprint to refine the devil fetus. Immediately. Do you think I'm an idiot? The devil fetus now is you, bitch." Qi. Chen Hao's soul emitted a dazzling sword light and attacked Hu Meinyang's rune. However, Hu Meinyang's heart trembled, and her voice suddenly became extremely cold. "You actually know about it? It seems that I've underestimated you. Since that's the case, there's no need to hide anymore. It's just a matter of wasting more time and energy. Sacrifice. Chi. Chi. In an instant, 13 white jade tablets appeared out of thin air. Each of them bloomed with a dazzling light. The runes on the tablets seemed to have come to life at this moment and connected together. They suppressed Chen Hao's soul. Condense. Chen Hao shouted angrily. His soul shrunk in an instant, as if it had turned into a solid crystal, emitting a sparkling and translucent light. Qi. His soul turned into a sword and ferociously attacked Hu Meinyang's soul imprint. Rumble. The moment the white jade tablets came crashing down like mountains, Chen Hao and Hu Meinyang's soul imprints collided and became entangled. Qi. At this moment, the devil fetus returned and merged with Hu Meinyang. Bitch, let's see who's going to devour who. Buzz. Chen Hao's soul trembled. Suddenly, thousands of high-speed whirlpools appeared on the surface of his soul and began to devour Hu Meinyang's soul energy. How can you be compared to me, Hu Meinyang? Whether it's soul energy, soul imprint, or will, there's a huge gap between us. Chi. Hu Meinyang sensed Chen Hao's soul and snorted coldly. At the same time, she began to devour Chen Hao's soul energy at an even faster speed. At this moment, Chen Hao's sudden attack caught Hu Meinyang off guard. Her carefully laid trap was completely ineffective. She was forced to entangle her soul with Chen Hao's. It became a battle of soul energy and will. However, although Hu Meinyang was shocked and angry, she was not afraid. This was because Chen Hao was much weaker than she had imagined. She believed that with her powerful soul energy and will, it would not be difficult for her to control Chen Hao. If she had known that Chen Hao was only this strong, she would not have spent so much effort to wait for 3 days. Then let's try it. It won't be long before you know that you're just struggling on your deathbed. I, Hu Meinyang, did not want to waste too much energy. That's why I set a trap for you. It can also reduce the time you're in pain. I didn't expect you to be so useless. I'm curious. How did you know that I was going to devour you? Are you curious? Why don't you sense your soul abode? Haha. Chen Hao said disdainfully. What? What's going on? Hu Meinyang was shocked. Are you fusing with your soul? Congratulations, you're right. Bitch, it must feel good to be attacked from both sides, right? Fusing with your soul, and splitting into two. Even I have underestimated you. However, even if you fuse with your soul, you're still not my match. Devour. Hu Meinyang shouted. Her soul-devouring power increased by several folds. Chapter 777. Translator. Endless Fantasy Translation Editor. Endless Fantasy Translation. She's stronger than I expected? Although Chen Hao had expected this, he was still shocked when he sensed Hu Meinyang's terrifying speed of devouring and refining. Hu Meinyang had an innate Taoist embryo and a devil fetus. Moreover, her realm was much higher than Chen Hao's. She was definitely a strong opponent that Chen Hao had never encountered before. If Chen Hao hadn't made sufficient preparations to break through Hu Meinyang's perilous situation at the beginning and split his fused soul into two in advance, it wouldn't have been long before he was killed by this woman. Even so, Chen Hao was still at a disadvantage when facing Hu Meinyang, who suddenly went all out. Buzz. Without any hesitation, Chen Hao's two souls suddenly trembled violently as he immersed himself in the chanting of the primary principles of the Great Tao. The Sanskrit of the Great Tao resounded in the soul, connecting the two souls and resonating with each other. The secular sword way and the solitary sword art merged together, activated by soul power, violently attacking, devouring, and refining. Boom boom boom. The sword light and the 13 white jade crystal steels activated by Hu Meinyang set off monstrous waves in Hu Meinyang's soul abode. Terrifying explosions, devastating soul power, and earth-shattering pressure. If they were in the big world, many experts of the heaven celestial stage would have been intimidated. At this moment, whether it was Hu Meinyang or Chen Hao, the pain their souls were enduring was beyond their imagination. The feeling of being crushed and devoured by the other party was 100 times, 1,000 times more painful than being bitten by thousands of ants. At this moment, their willpower and state of mind were crucial to the two of them. Once either of them couldn't bear the pain and their mind collapsed, then no matter how strong their soul power was, or how fast they could devour and refine the other party, they would disintegrate in an instant. However, the two of them gritted their teeth and were determined to win. At this point, it was a fight to the death. There was no way out. Both of them knew that only one of them could survive. Whoever controlled the other could kill the other. In the entanglement of souls, it was impossible to detonate the soul using the soul symbiotic contract. The only way was to continuously attack, crush, devour, and refine. Formless, without thought, without heaven and earth, without me, Chen Hao, who had long surpassed his own limits, was in more and more pain. However, the Sanskrit chants of the Great Tao became more and more magnificent. The general outline of the Great Tao that Chen Hao still didn't know how it worked, suddenly took shape with his voice as he recited it over and over again. It condensed into golden characters that floated around Chen Hao's soul that had been split into two, radiating crystal light in all directions. Attacking, crushing the opponent's soul power, devouring, refining, all of this was done under the control of Chen Hao's will. But at this moment, the enlightenment and changes from the general outline of the Great Tao allowed Chen Hao to enter a state of emptiness. The secular swordsmanship, the secular heart sutra, the solitary sword art, the use of the soul, and many other ultimate techniques suddenly merged into one, as if they had become the most natural rhythm of millions of years, the pulse of the world. However, the general outline of the Great Tao was the cauldron that fused everything together. How can he be so strong? I, Hu Meinyang, have a pre-celestial Tao embryo, a mid-heavenly immortal. Furthermore, I've refined the evil will of the patriarch, and I'm in my soul abode. There's no reason for me to be inferior to him. I can't lose. Ah. Boom, boom, boom. Hu Meinyang's soul suddenly let out an extremely sharp, soul-piercing howl. Using the sound to form a seal, she isolated herself from the pain. Once again, she was evenly matched with Chen Hao, who had suddenly become stronger. Buzz, 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 buzz. But only a moment later, a soul-shaking sound that contained a mystery that Hu Meinyang couldn't understand directly drowned out her howl. Chen Hao's speed of devouring her soul power became even faster. Impossible. I can't lose. I, Hu Meinyang, am loved by all. I was born in defiance of the heavens, and I grew up in defiance of the heavens. No one can stop me from stepping on the path to the peak. I must trample all the heavens under my feet. Ha! Hu Meinyang, you deceived your master and destroyed your ancestors. You're doomed. This is karma. This is retribution, ha ha ha. Suddenly, from the depths of Hu Meinyang's soul imprint came a charming but cold voice that took pleasure in her misfortune. What? You're still here? Humph. You're just a heaven celestial. You want to really kill me? I'm the spiritual intelligence born from the evil thoughts of your ancestor. I'm immortal, indestructible, and immortal. Haha. Now submit to me, and I can still let you live. Together with me, we can rise above the heavens, become true immortals, and attain eternal life. Otherwise, you'll be killed by this kid. This kid is not as simple as you think, ha ha ha. Dream on. No one can kill me, Hu Meinyang. And no one can make me submit. You better think carefully, or it'll be too late. When your soul power is almost completely devoured by this kid, even if I take control, you won't be able to turn the situation around. Stop dreaming. If you don't want to die, then submit to me. Become my slave. Then you can just wait for death. At most, I'll return to the 13 white jade crystal tablets and wait for my spiritual intelligence to be born again. Ha ha ha. Chi. Hu Meinyang could clearly feel that Chen Hao was devouring her soul power faster and faster. The sound of the Great Path Sanskrit, which could shake one's soul, made it difficult for her to breathe. At this point, no matter how unwilling she was, she knew that this time, she was defeated. Defeated by a cultivator at the Earth's celestial stage who was being toyed with by her. She regretted that she had underestimated Chen Hao. But it was useless to regret. Let's each take a step back. Your mark and my mark will fuse together and coexist forever. You and I have the same goal, so we won't affect each other. The devil fetus sensed Hu Meinyang's condition and said again. Everything was under its control. The 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra, Illusion is reality. Even Hu Meinyang didn't know what was happening to her. Similarly, the 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra, illusion is reality, affected not only Hu Meinyang, but also Chen Hao. Okay. I promise you. Come in. Haha. Don't play tricks with me. Without me you know the consequences. Chi. The devil fetus, which Hu Meinyang couldn't sense in the slightest, suddenly appeared and fused into her soul imprint. Buzz. In an instant, their soul marks merged into one. I'll take the lead. You and I become one. Chi. Rumble. As the devil fetus spoke, the 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra, which merged with the power of their soul marks, started to run wildly. At this moment, Chen Hao suddenly felt the pressure on him increase greatly. The 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra? The aura of the devil fetus? Chen Hao, who was in the state of thoughtless tranquility, suddenly woke up. He was shocked. He had thought that victory was in his hands, and he would soon be able to control Hu Meinyang completely. He didn't expect that the devil fetus would appear again and merge with Hu Meinyang's soul mark. What's going on? Did Hu Meinyang not only fail to refine the devil fetus, but she was also conquered by it? This wasn't the situation when he and Hu Meinyang had joined forces to deal with the devil fetus. At that time, the devil fetus could only control a small portion of the power of the 13 white jade crystal tablets. Now the devil fetus and Hu Meinyang had complete control over the white jade crystal tablets, including Hu Meinyang's soul strength. This situation, coupled with the power of the 10th level of the Red Dust Sutra, put Chen Hao in a dangerous situation. The tables had turned. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.